Hi, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. Hello, sir. Could you please turn on your video, Mr. Vikram Puri?
Yeah, is this okay?
Yes, sir. All fine.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, Dr. Sailesh Iyer.
Yeah. Good morning.
Could you turn your video on, sir?
Yeah, just a minute.
Okay.
I hope I'm visible now.
Yes, sir, you are.
Yeah.
I suggest we wait another 5 minutes because we have 2 more panelists joining us, and then we can proceed.
Fine.
এগুলো এসে করবে এখন যাও এখানটা খালি করো আমি ভিডিও করে ঢুকবো তো পেছনে লোক জামা কাপড় ভাঁজ করছে করলে কি করবো বন্ধ করে জামা করে দেবো Hello, am I audible? Hello.
Hello, sir. Good morning. You are audible and visible.
Thank you, thank you.
We have one more panelist to join us. He will be joining us in a few minutes, and then I will get started.
Okay.
I hope I'm audible.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Okay, so then I'm keeping my cam and mic muted until we start.
As it is 9:35, I say let's get started. I request all my panelists to turn on your videos, and I shall proceed with the introduction of this session. So without any further delay, let's get started. My name is Nitya Reddy, and I take the privilege to be the moderator of today's session. I heartily welcome you all to the Intelligent Systems Forum, Day 2, Panel 3, the use of intelligent systems in smart farming. First of all, I would like to thank all the panelists for taking your time to join us today. Mr. Amarendra, sir, please turn on your video. And before moving ahead, I would like to give a glimpse of my college and the team that made this event possible. The Intelligent Systems Forum is being organized by the Industry Institute Interaction Cell, IIIC in short, in collaboration with About Those Big Dreams. About Those Big Dreams is a student body at Stanley College of Engineering and Technology for Women, formed to help students achieve their dreams. With about 70 plus sessions and 4 major conferences, we've built a wide range of well-versed speakers in the topics of education, science, technology, entrepreneurship, art, and world issues. Stanley has one strong belief: empower women, impact the world. And now that I'm done introducing the organizers, I should gladly proceed by introducing our esteemed panelists for this session, and I'm beyond honored to do so. Dr. Sailesh Iyer. Dr. Sailesh Iyer has a PhD in computer science and is currently serving as a professor in the CSE department of Rai School of Engineering, Rai University, Ahmedabad. He has more than 22 years of experience in academics, industry, and corporate training. Out of which of those 22 years, 18 years are in core academics. He has excelled in corporate training, delivered expert talks in collaboration with AICTE, government organized workshops, and he is a member of TPC member of various reputed international and national conferences. Sir is a reviewer of international journals like Multimedia Tools and Applications, Springer, and International Journal of Big Data Analytics in Healthcare. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you. Dr. Samia Khan. Ma'am is an alumni of the University of Delhi, India, and she did her PhD in computer science from Jamia Millia Islamia, India. She's currently working as a postdoctoral research fellow at the University of Wolverhampton, UK. She has contributed more than 15 research papers, and her publications extend across journals and articles and book chapters in high-impact publications of international repute. She is a regular contributor to magazines with many articles published in CSI. Apart from this, ma'am's expertise spans across data science, artificial intelligence, edge computing, and IoT, with experience in developing heterogeneous systems. Thank you for joining us, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Vikram Puri. Sir is a researcher at the R&D Center of Simulation and Visualization, Zertan University, Danang, Vietnam. I do apologize if I mispronounce the university name. And visiting research scholar at the University of Nevada, USA. He has 7 years of industrial experience and delivered many workshops and seminars regarding the new technologies in collaboration with industrial organizations. He has written multiple research papers and articles in international SCI and ISI journals and conferences. His research area is Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, and blockchain technology. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Amarendra Khatkam. Mr. Amarendra Khatkam is the founder and CEO at Smart Bridge and Smart Interns, Hyderabad. Currently, his passion for entrepreneurship is building an innovative edtech platform, Smart Interns, to build the exponentially increasing gap between academia and the industry, to guide students and mentor them towards success in their careers and thus transforming the industry. Mr. Khatkam also created unique programs in skill building and innovation and built a team of 50 engineers who have expertise in emerging tech and partnered with organizations like IBM, VMware, Tableau, Task, CSI student chapters, has built 1,000 plus use cases in IoT, ML, AI, and robotics. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you, Nitya, and very good morning, the panelists, experts from different domains. Happy to share the panel with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Finally, last but not least, Mr. Shantanu Sinha. Sir is an IBM and TOGAF certified executive architect with about 18 years experience in software and IT services industry. He is currently working in IBM India Private Limited as a chief architect. He has a comprehensive knowledge of airline operations, shipping and logistics, GCD systems, cloud enablement, image processing techniques, GPS analysis, control systems, wireless communication, and reliable communication techniques. He has also worked in quantum computing, blockchain, and automation. He's a proficient inventor and has 5 patents and 3 IPs published under his belt. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you, Nitya. I'm privileged to be sharing this panel with all of you.
It has been such an honor to read out your profiles and introduce you to the viewers. Thank you for being available today and being able to start a conversation. And now I shall proceed to the topic. Discussing this topic is extremely important and crucial as agriculture is the backbone to any country's economy. It is a very important task, of course. And in addition to providing food and raw material, agriculture also provides employment opportunities to a large percent of the population. And AI and technologies have a huge potential and scope in many countries and in the world, in the moving world. So we are here today to discuss that. And the goal I would like to place for this session is that we can teach students about how the world can move forward in the embrace of these technologies in relation with agriculture and farming. So I would suggest let's start with a round of initial insights. So I will announce your name and please just give me your insights on this topic and how you feel about this topic being discussed at a student level. Ms. Samia Khan, would you like to start?
Yeah, no worries. I can go ahead. Yeah. See, as far as particularly any technology being used in sectors like healthcare or agriculture, finds a lot of applications and find a lot of ground. Actually, it's usually said that if you really want to test the technology and test its viability, you test it on sectors like healthcare and agriculture because the most real life scenarios are there in these sectors. Now, why agriculture particularly has found a lot of ground lately is because there's been an ongoing debate on whether technology is harming the planet or is it contributing to global warming or is it contributing to sustainability, and and the kind of disparity that's usually said that technology generally increases the disparity between developed and developing and underdeveloped countries because of the kind of employment that it generates, or in particularly in the West, where base infrastructure is already present, and in countries where there is minimalistic infrastructure, the disparity might increase. That's a concern as far as the impact of technology is concerned. But with the evolution of heterogeneous systems, and when I say heterogeneous systems, it's systems that basically are an assembly of multiple technologies. It's not just AI or just IoT, but also communication technologies like 5G, and bringing the whole ICT under one roof to solve real life problems. So when we use technologies like these, we bring up the sustainability bar, and which is in line with the UN's sustainability development goals per se, which also not just bridge the disparity between developing and developed countries, in the sense that particularly in the context of Indian economy, which is largely agriculture based, vis-a-vis other countries. Technologies like these and evolution of systems like these is expected to improve employment, is expected to support the economy. Besides this, as far as the whole debate around global warming and climate change it's taken up a lot of lead right now, because as I think, somebody very famous had said that we're probably the last generation that can do something about climate change, and we're also the first generation that's actually seeing the aftermaths of climate change. And one of the most profound aftermath of global warming has been the increasing number of natural calamities that we're seeing, the increasing number of famines that we're seeing. Now, technology can intervene and not just be a breaker there and a maker instead, in the sense that you can improve agricultural yields, crop yields, using technologies like amalgamation of technologies like Internet of Things and communication technologies, and bringing all of them together for various applications like precision farming, for instance, or precision livestock management, or automation, not just for greenhouses, but general crop management as well. So all of these are brought together. Ultimately, the goal is to improve the operational efficiency of a system and the operational efficiency of a pipeline. Now, that pipeline here, in this case, is agriculture. And because the impact is so high, and because it's, in a way, right now, it's driving the third green revolution, in a way, where we are taking the technology that we have right now with the genetic plant engineering and hybridization and all of that background biological technology development that has happened lately, and using other technologies that have come up now, the state-of-the-art technologies like big data analytics, for instance, to come up with real-time insights and helping everyone achieve a mutual goal. So that's basically my take on this. And from my perspective, I think it's more to do with the whole idea of bringing in sustainability and the whole environment-friendly technology aspect into picture.
Rightly said, ma'am. Yes, you are audible. Rightly said, ma'am. And I really like your point of saying technology will be a part of the green revolution. It already is. So thank you for your views, ma'am. And moving on, I would like to ask some definitions and further views of yours regarding this topic. Dr. Sailesh Iyer, can we move on to you with your initial insights of this topic?
Sure, ma'am. A very good morning to all the panelists, as well as the host and the participants. It's a wonderful Sunday morning, and we are here to discuss a very vital topic towards the development on a positive note. And I'm really happy that being in technology-oriented college, Stanley College is already thinking about this aspect, and we are sparing a whole Sunday. Normally, Sundays are for relaxing, and we are really devoting ourselves to this topic. So that's a very positive development, and I hope the outcome of this is also as positive as we are assembled here for. Actually, I would just like to give a little bit insight into the existing situation and then how we can improve it. Just in a nutshell, maybe 2 to 3 minutes I'll just spend on this. Actually, the existing situation in India is like farmers are projected, be it from movies to the actual situation, farmers are projected as very, they are worshipped, rather, that saying that, okay, they are very good for the society, they are doing a great job. But as far as facilities and technologies being provided, probably we are not penetrating to the level that we should be penetrating in the villages, where as well as farmer equipments are concerned. They are taking loans for the crops, and it all depends upon the seasonal fluctuation. If there's a good rainfall, they have a good crop, they earn. Otherwise, they are losing on the revenue, and then ultimately some of the farmers are committing suicides. There are a lot of controversy regarding the farming laws. I'm not going into that, but this is the situation right now. So can we think about a society where probably the farmer can be thought of a corporate officer, maybe sitting in his office and managing the entire things in his farm at the click of a button here from the laptop or from his mobile? So this is what my perception of farming, smart farming, is all about. And I feel that a lot of things can be done. Like we have drones, we have IoT coming into the picture. I have one patent wherein we have a robotic underarm developed for plucking the weeds and plucking the underground fruits, etc. Where farmer doesn't have to go to the field for that, he can get it done through a robotic underarm. So these are all developments that are taking place, but probably the pace of development is not as per the satisfactory levels that we would like it to be. So probably one welcome step here would be that academicians, research scholars, taking a step towards actively towards giving solutions, giving viable solutions, because here again we are not looking at just the big farms being catered to. We are also looking at small farmers who are having a livelihood out of these by working this. So they are also the target audience, and we need to give them viable solutions wherein they are very cheap technological solutions which can be purchased by them or which can be implemented by them. They should be having the know-how, the training can be given to them. So these are all issues which we need to look at from a wider angle. One important issue is also the once the farm produce is there, what about the produce being marketed to the consumers? So that is where probably in India we have such a system wherein there are a lot of commission agents who are eating much of the profit of the farmers. So probably in this direction also a lot of steps can be thought of using technology. So technology can play a very vital role in all these areas, right? But ultimately we have to first remove the traditional mindset in ourselves about a farmer saying that he's a very pathetic looking guy, he's always on the fields toiling. No, probably this Independence Day we need to look at the farmer to be independent from hard work, and this is a kind of independence from hard work moving towards smart work. So with these words, I would just like to hand it over to you, Nitya.
Thank you very much, sir. I think that is a great overview of many aspects of this topic, and we will discuss them further. Thank you, sir. Moving on to you, Sir Shantanu Sinha, over to you.
Thank you, Nitya. And I completely echo Dr. Samia's view and Dr. Silas's view. And I will share one story and my real life experience. Okay. So in 2016-17, I am from West Bengal, and I don't know if you follow the news, you would know that here, how it all started. I'm telling you the story that here it's a big problem with the potato farming, because sometimes we grow a lot of potatoes, so there is no market price, and farmers do suicide. Sometimes we don't grow potato at all, and farmers do suicide. Right? If you are in the following the news. So 2016-17, I got very moved by that even with so much technologies and all those things, why we cannot do something about it. And I started working on a sustainable farming model. And then I contacted my organization, IBM, and I worked with Haifa Research Lab on that. They were doing something about it. So then we did a study that how we can make farming sustainable, meaning been using the analytics and predictive analysis. If we can predict year on year demand on the market of a particular crop or multiple crops, and if we can change the crops so that if I grow crop one, normally if you grow any crop, it helps, it builds the soil for some other kind of crops, right? So if we do that way, then probably we will ensure maximum yield of the crop and also maximum price obtained from the crop. So that's how it started, and I worked with that. I got a patent, we published papers and all those things, and then everything, just like many academic studies and things, it was parked somewhere, stored somewhere. Then came 2020, the COVID thing, right? And I am from a place, my ancestors are from a village or a remote place where land is very infertile, very sporadic rain, and no irrigation support. So it's a very backward place. If you follow news, it's like where the Maoism and everything started in West Bengal. It's very remote forest place. So then in 2020, before which I had to travel all over the world all the time, always on my toes. So in 2020 gave me some time to retrospect and give me some time to stay at home. And then I thought that if we can use the technologies to do something about it. And I started working with few agricultural support organizations. And as a POC, proof of concept, I personally started a farm of 5 acres. That if these technologies can actually be applied. So I started with papaya, dragon fruit, and capsicum, and few other crops. And I will later in the part of the discussion, I will tell that why this crop selection and crop management is also very crucial to apply the technologies. So then I got the help of the IoT, got the help of the predictive analysis as well as the prescriptive analysis. And then I started doing this farming with goal of that applying the technology and use minimum on demand, real demand fertilization, use the minimum or most efficient use of water, and also if we can control that, just like Dr. Sailesh was saying, I am not still there, but I'm almost there where I can control my farm from my mobile to some extent, right? I can control the water, I can control the fertilizations, I can control the pesticides and few other things. But more than control, many things can be automated also. So we used RPA automations also. So many things is like I have my IoT sensors on the ground, which calculates the moisture content, the sunlight content, and then accordingly the automated supply of the water. And I use drip irrigation. If you know about it, it minimizes the need of water. I use solar pump to collect the water and all those things, right? So with applying of all those things, what is the impact that I want to share first? So impact is right now the completely infertile land, as I told, is now completely a green area with at least per month I am getting, say, from the 5-acre land, if you know anything about the crop yield expected, I am getting around 1,000 kilos of papayas, around 750, 800 kilos of capsicums, and same orders for the dragon fruits and others, right? And it's profitable also. And at the end, after doing all those things, I mean, as Dr. Samia said, it's agriculture provides us food, so I covered that. But it also, I have generated, because what happened, why I went there, because what happened that in my village, destiny of the people were that they used to go to the cities because nobody has any fertile land. So they used to go to the cities and doing all kind of odd jobs. When I say odd jobs, maybe, you know, helping a catering company, helping an event management company, and all other things, right? And with COVID, what happened that these people lost their job completely, and there is no even a very near future when these kind of jobs like catering, event management, decorations, and all those things will again pick up. So these people came back ultimately to their home with no money, no real job, no real future, and they already have their children studying somewhere, they have their fixed expenses. So it was a very chaotic situations. But now in my farm itself, around 11 people are daily working, and on demand base around 20 more people are working. So you can say or at odd 30 families are getting run from there, and everybody is sharing the profit. So it's a good thing for everyone. I mean, for me, maybe it's more of a technological appetite that if I can apply the technology, but for them maybe it's even bigger impact because they have a real and viable future, and they can do that sitting at their home in their village, right? So net, yes, technology has a huge potential to change the agriculture how we see, and there is a lot to do and things have started. And I'm very hopeful with the right attention, as Dr. Sailesh said, that with the help of academia and technology, I am very hopeful with realistic hope that within few years, agriculture will be completely revolutionized and it will be seen differently. With that, I will hand over to you, Nitya.
Thank you very much, sir. It is personally touching to hear that if the topic personally resonates with you. It's very exciting to hear how you have your own farm and you are actually applying these technologies onto your own farm. And I love how all the panelists till now have had only an optimistic view towards technology, the use of technology in farming. And I would like to continue with Vikram Puri, sir, your initial insights about this topic, and you can add to anything the panelists have said till now. So you're muted.
Is this okay, audible?
Yes.
First of all, thank you for your invitation. This time my city is in the lockdown because of the COVID. So now the COVID cases is high. So it's very difficult to travel to the university. And the first thing is this: the smart farming is a very this time the very revolutionized topic in especially in the research field, in the academic field. And you can see from the last 4 or 5 years, many startups are coming to develop the product. Especially now, in the past, what happened? The students are mostly thinking about to go to the companies. They work for the companies, or some they go to the outside the companies. But now you can see the trend is changed. Now the many students are coming to open their startups. It's not just to make the money. Their thinking is they have a new ideas, and the new ideas are giving, like especially in the research. You can see from the last from the COVID season, like from the 2019, there are the million of the papers are published on the COVID-19. Many researchers are like they are based on the disease. Some are using the radiologies. But up to now, you see how much these systems are scalable. Their research is going in a, everyone want to do the research, but how much this research is useful? This is the main topic, is like we need to do the research, but we need to do the research in a right way. It's very important. Like if you develop something, okay, if you do the research, your idea is good, but some of the researchers, they stop working on this because they don't find the way, like how much this system is scalable. And if like especially for the students, now you see in the especially we are talking about the smart words. Smart word is used in everywhere, like in the farming, in the home automation, in everywhere. And when the smart is coming, now the hot topic is the artificial intelligence. And the main thing is this: how much our artificial intelligence models are, like suppose if you develop some model, okay, if you develop some model, but these models be 100% reliable? If you make a very good model, can we 100% reliable on the on these models? The reason is, the problem here is the research. 100 of papers or 100 of research articles is very good to make you a good direction, but it is also very important to develop this. Like in the smart farming, they have the many topics, like for starting from the preparation of the soil, then sowing of the seed, adding fertilizers, irrigation, weed protection, harvesting, and the storage. They are the seven kind, like it's general in the seven kind of research field. And the technology is applied on the seven. Like this time the hot topics are the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, and the blockchain. But out of these, the artificial intelligence is the highest. Many companies, many academics, they only work on the artificial intelligence. They have one website, Arvix. I think Arvix is the open for the every researcher. Many students, many hobbyists, they do the research and they publish the research on the Arvix. And the main thing is this: when the question again come to there is how much their system is reliable. Like suppose the Tesla, suppose is the Tesla, we move a little bit change topic to go to the automation industry. Like if we go to the electric vehicles, to the Tesla company, they develop a model. These models they develop for the automatic car, but sometime is happening there. These models not working properly. So here we need the two kind of artificial intelligence: explainable artificial intelligence and the trustworthy artificial intelligence. And same in the case of the smart farming. Smart farming, if the students are move, if they improve, like the students make a good technology, or the technology, the only way is to improve your smart farming technology in a good way, rather than if we only depend on the small. Maybe my topic is going the wrong way, but we need to, like the technology, we can help to improve the technology can improve the smart farming a lot. Here the students, after the graduation, the students are difficult to choose where they go. If they open, if they open their startups, or if they open their ideas, they go to some companies, they will improve the smart farming in the right way. Smart farming is the rather, if we talk about the developing countries like India and the Vietnam, the smart farming is a very hot topic. Rather than the many farmers, like they are basically do the export to the developed countries. So the farming industry is very big. And if we move the farming in a, if we move the farming in a right way, so we need the improve the, especially if the the artificial intelligence, it is very helpful to improve, like the artificial intelligence is very helpful to improve that technology. Sorry for the I go on a wrong way. So but like my main point is the artificial intelligence is a good way to grow the smart farming a lot, but we also need to focus on the explainable artificial intelligence and the trustworthy artificial intelligence. Means if our artificial intelligence model give a right, like they give the prediction, if they predict something, they predict some fruits, they predict some, but if they predict the wrong, they should also explain how these models are predict. If suppose if you make some model to predict the crops, if these model go in a wrong way, so you will get the wrong output, and your system is working on the wrong. So it means up to now you also need the humans with the artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence up to now is not yet fully autonomous. It also needs the human power to control the artificial intelligence. Okay, so then here the main thing is well, like in first we talk about the preparation of the soil. If we talk about the preparation of the soil, what are the main things we need to prepare the soil? There are some sensors, and these sensors are connected to the some centralized and decentralized architecture, like a cloud computing or the blockchain. And these sensors give the data, and we have a collection of a lot of data on the centralized, on the decentralized server. Then we collected this data from these servers, and we apply the artificial intelligence models. And these artificial intelligence model help us to predict how much this system, like how much in the future this soil have the problem or not. If here, in the point is here, if the artificial intelligence model give the wrong output, or the wrong prediction, so everything goes on the wrong way. So here is the point is very important. Like if we working on the technologies, we also need to control or only like a limit in a right way. And the second with this, in like the many companies, they are working with the robotics, and they make a small robots to grow, like to seed to sowing the seeds, and then they adding the fertilizers. Everything is go on robotics, but sometime also if robotics go on a wrong way, so what happen if everything is out of control? Like suppose if one plant need 90% water, or some plant another plant need a 70% water. If your output is wrong, if these plants get the 40% or if above the limit, so it will destroy it will destroy everything. So we need to limit, like we need to make limits for the technology, and which we do the research. Like if we have something in the research, we also need to make these systems scalable. Sorry for the, like I not go on the journal way, because every panelist they cover the journal way, so I just increase their discussion in some like a little bit extent.
Thank you for your standpoint, sir, and trying to broaden the topic. And I would like to go over to Mr. Amarinder. Sir will not be able to turn on his video, but he is with us, and he will be speaking to us via audio.
Thank you, Anuja. Wonderful insights from the panelists, and I could hear their personal experience, especially Shantanu. He could able to share his personal experience as a farmer. Thank you. So I would like to cover upon a couple of points, because especially if you take India as the country where we want to implement smart farming and other techniques. So because India is a slightly different compared to other countries, where India is home to about 120 million smallholder farmers, and who contribute over 40% of the country's grain production. So our focus should be more on small farmers who are holding less than 2 hectares. That is one of the critical things which need to be considered when we are planning for any technological solutions. And you know what? About 86% of farmers in the country are marginal and small farmers. Okay, and there are a lot of policies and multiple schemes from different departments of India. If you take different departments like Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Ayush, there are a lot of ministries, Ministry of Horticulture. There are many schemes are there, and you have the lakhs of the field officers working on the ground. And India is home to our biggest agriculture community, I can say, but there are a lot of gaps which can be filled with technological intervention. Okay, so let me talk about small farmer, the grassroots problems. Okay, because always if you are talking about technology, yes, we have the lot of technologies available in the form of artificial intelligence, robotics, Internet of Things, and many blockchain, many other technologies are there. But are we in a position to apply this to the small farmers? That is the question now. Okay, so let me share my experience as a farmer, because I am from farming background, and last 3 years I'm working as a weekend farmer. Every Saturday and Sunday, I go to a village near to the Hyderabad, around 100 kilometers, and I started my own farming because it is giving a full satisfaction, as well as I could able to understand, as a technologist, I could able to understand what exactly is happening. So I started cultivating a crop called stevia. You maybe heard about it. It is a sugar-free the crop. People can substitute the stevia instead of sugar, which is more useful for the diabetic the patients. So when I got into the farming, because I don't have any experience, okay, my father and ancestors, they did a traditional farming, but I thought of introducing a new crop, and I thought of implementing new technologies. I bought all soil analyzers, and we have installed the small weather station in the plant. We have around 10 acres land with water and other thing. So and myself has a good experience in Internet of Things. So we built a simple application called Sujav, which is basically a smart farmer application, which will send out the local weather from the weather station to the platform. And we have built a simple rule-based engine using machine learning and deployed it on the platform called Sujav. And we took some help from agronomists specific to the crops like maize, paddy, I would say cotton. So we built a good rule-based engine. We built a small machine learning model, and we created a mobile application where we have took a sample of soil in different locations like pH, conductivity, to analyze the macronutrients and micronutrients of the soil. So we did a good system, and we started applying this in a real time in my farm. But let me give you the practical difficulties over here. Yes, there are a lot of ways we can increase the production. There are a lot of ways we can come up with a different the farming methodologies. But the grassroots problem in India, especially if you consider small farmer, farm mechanization, because labor is one of the main problem, because the labor costs are growing high, and that we are not getting, because people are flying over from villages to the urban, and there's nobody to help the farmers to take care of harvesting and all those things. So the need of the hour for the small farmers is like one is the farm mechanization. There are a lot of equipment available in the market, but what is happening is like it is not introduced to the farmer. I'll give you the simple example of a simple equipment called the brush cutter. So using a brush cutter, I can able to do some kind of like tilling and cutting the grass and the weeding kind of thing. But even many farmers doesn't know about that small equipment. Okay, so there is a good there is a lot of gap in the community, especially the farmer ecosystem. We have even lakhs of field officers, but the new technologies are not much introduced to the farmer. So there is a need of community which need to be worked closely with the technologists, and there should be a system. Nowadays the because of availability of internet in the villages, and even the mobile communication, so we need a good farmer information system, and the people who will work with these small farmers to transform them into the smart farmer. Okay, so that is the need of our, and farm mechanization. So we have young students here. If you are planning anything into the farming, I recommend look at the farm mechanization. That is one of the important area which we can focus on, because there is a lot of need in farm mechanization, and build very small system. Don't think about the high-end artificial intelligence and high-end IoT and all those things, but you start with a simple farm mechanization, so that it will be readily available for the farmers, and they can afford. Okay, they can spend 5,000 to 6,000 to buy an equipment which will substitute the labor. Okay, because they're facing a lot of trouble with the labor over there. So majority of invention or innovation you are doing, let's start with the considering small farmer as the person, and understand the grassroots problems and work on the development. And second area is like we need organizations who can develop farming information systems, and who can work in hand with the farmers, because develop an app and post it on the Play Store, that doesn't work. Okay, so what we need is like we need a volunteer system, or a kind of the system which will who will go to the farm, talk to the farmer, convince them, educate them, and they will start using it, and form the farming communities, enable farm producing organization. There are a lot of FPOs are there. Work with FPOs, introduce the technologies to them, get the feedback, and do a lot of continuous the innovation and improvement on the technology. Okay, so what I mean to say is like our focus should be more on small holder farmers who are holding less than 2 acres. And second thing is like there are a lot of technologies already available in the market. What is missing is like connectivity. And third most important problem for the farmer is like market connectivity. If we can able to build out some kind of technologies which will help them to reach out to the market, that will be a great thing, because production, yes, there are many ways they can improve their production, but what is missing piece is like market connectivity. Okay, so if we can able to come up with some kind of technologies utilizing all new emerging technologies into the market connectivity area, that will be a great helpful to the farmer. With this, I'll hand over to you, Nitya. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Again, it's very exciting to hear that you personally farm in your weekends. And thank you for highlighting the importance of bridging the gap between farmers and the technologies that are being developed right now. So with that, we are done with a round of insights, and I have a few questions listed here, which I would like to ask you guys. The first one is, I would like to ask, what is the current international scene of smart farming, and how can that be contrasted with the scene of farming in India? Would anyone like to go first?
Is it okay if I want to go?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So there is like Amarendra's point was very valid. Like when we try to contextualize internationally what's happening to Indian market, there is a huge disconnect. And why? Say, for example, in US, let's take the example, which is a big country with a big agricultural landscape, right? But their problem is different because there, first of all, per farmer land is way more than what most of the farmers in India acquire. So applying expensive, large-scale technology is a viable option there, first thing. Second thing is, if you see the land structure of India, it's a little different, and that's what is in India's problem, the same problem most of the countries in Southeast Asia have the same problem, that here lands are in pockets, right? Even if a farmer have 2 hectares of land, those 2 hectares are not together, not in the same place, right? And other farmers' places or lands are in between. So that's another problem, which is a little bit different than when we say international. I hope you are talking about Western things, right? So that's another different land reformations and so many other things happen historically and all those things. So there is another technology viability challenge unique to India and Southeast Asia's countries. And third thing is the crop varieties. Due to various things which might change with these new laws and something, but in most of the Western countries, that crops are selected for a huge region of the similar or connected crops. So that's why applying technology has its own ease of applying technologies there, because it's the similar or connected crops. Whereas in Southeast Asian countries, if you see, the crops are very varied. What we grow in a vast amount of land. I mean, maybe it's with the cooperative, with the right initiatives, it might change. But as of now, that's another problem. Now, to say the technology usage, yes, in international market, technology is like what Amarendra touched upon. It's really there because closed loop supply chain is part of agricultural growth. That means direct connect with the market, direct demands, and all those things. And I don't know. I don't know much about political things or legal things, but what was happening with these MSPs and the contracted farming and all those things. Maybe there is some chance that these things will change, but as of now, our crop is always based on a hunch, or even worse, if you see in India, what happens that people traditionally grow crops. Like a paddy grower grows grows paddy generation after generation. A potato grower grows potato generation after generation, right? And that's what happens here. So this closed supply chain loop thing is not there, that what is the market demand or what is the future predicted demand, and if we grow that, and if we get the minimum value guaranteed, that so that we are ensured that whatever we are growing. So that's the difference. Just before I hand over to other, I just want to touch upon one thing, Mr. Vikram Puri's point of explainable AI or trustworthy AI. Yes, I complete, because if you know, I mean, I'm from IBM. I represent IBM here also. So IBM as an organization is now, it's a hybrid cloud and AI organizations we are. So I am telling you a thing that how sometimes we can solve technological problem a little easier, and as Vikram Puri said, that we're looking at human intervention. So if you have heard of the program Simon, so this is the IBM research product, and that's it, marketed product now. What it does, and I will tell you how technology or risk of technology can be avoided. So what Simon does, if you know any aircraft, so I'm professionally, I'm from travel and transportation background. So I work with airlines, with shipping, with hotels and other things. Right? So in aircrafts, when there is always you carry this much fuel which is calculated for your journey, but then always any aircraft carries some extra amount of fuel for the accidental things, right? Either if it cannot land in its destination, it has to go divert to the nearest port, or it is hijacked, it has to fly extra long, and all those things, right? And this extra fuel part is traditionally manually calculated and decided by the individual pilot of that aircraft, and that's called pilot's manifesto, right? And it's completely on that person's shoulder. So the Simon program decided that we can predict how much extra fuel an aircraft can carry, because there is other things also. If you carry too much extra fuel, you burn a lot of extra fuel, and your profitability goes down, and all those things, right? So the Simon program we created, and we applied in Air Canada first. And what we did, that we compared all the time that what AI suggested, we still went with what pilot's hunch feel is, that how much fuel he should carry. Whatever the AI says, overriding that, right? But we always calculated what is the difference of what AI is saying and what pilot is suggesting, right? And we did that for 1.5 years. And slowly, we made the model matured, and learn more, correct more, and all those things. Ultimately, by 2019 end, we found that the difference is almost zero, right? Almost zero. I mean, in difference of few gallons, which is in aircraft fuel, that's nothing, right? You cannot even fly for 2-3 minutes with that, right? So, and from 2019 onward, many airlines is using that AI. I mean, it might scare you that your life, I mean, so many people's life, and even the people on the aircraft or people on the ground on that path of that aircraft are depending on AI. So, but that's happening, and that's a real. So my point is, agricultural technology is not there yet, but we will get there. I'm very hopeful with data that yes, right now we are all trying, applying, doing POCs, POTs, and all those things. But yes, we should collaborate with the technology. Because agriculture traditionally is a huge knowledge as an species we have. I mean, we are doing agriculture from the time maybe when we invented fire, right? So we have that much knowledge with us in our as a group, right? So if we continuously monitor what AI is saying, or what AI is suggesting, or what all this technology is suggesting, and do the course correction, within few years we will be there where that fear will be gone, and then technology will take the decisions maybe better than us. So with that, I will hand over to others about sharing your opinions on this topic.
Can I say something? Yeah, okay. So I got to India, and after I came to UK, I was involved in one of the smart farming projects here, and it's a generic viewpoint in India, and I mean that's completely my personal opinion, and people might disagree. But it's a general perception in India that we have a lot of non-technical challenges, and it's not just about technology being developed. We cannot really implement it because we don't have the infrastructure to do it. It's not any different anywhere else. It's just that people are a little more open to technology in the West. People are a little more open to changes vis-a-vis India. In India, the problem is that we sit back and say that we cannot do it because we don't have the infrastructure to do it. The project that I was involved in was with Shropshire Council here. Shropshire did not have broadband connection until a few years ago. That's United Kingdom. But now the farmers have been actively working into studying the growing cycle of their crops. They have active, the whole information system set up around it. So it's more about being open, and it's more about being aware that changes are possible even if you're in India. It doesn't really matter if you're in India. And I think from one of these stories, I think Shantanu had discussed about him coming from a comparatively remote background, but still he's been able to implement all of those technologies in that farm as he did. So it's all about openness to technology on that front. As far as the non-technical, see, you cannot really control the political and the financial aspects of it. You probably don't have the finances, the funding to do things in India as much as you have in the West, where research is funded uh, rather freely. In India, it's not funded that freely. It's a very tight budget that you work on, and you have to make your own investments a lot of times. So I think it is more to do with startups and people from the industry investing more into social problems and solving social issues that might help. I mean, in terms of the funding issue is concerned. Now, coming to the reliability and the trustworthiness of not just AI, but any technology, I would say generically. That's a debate that we get into every single time on every forum, that systems are not trustworthy. But then, are humans trustworthy? How trustworthy are humans? So we strive for 100% accuracy for systems. We do not strive for 100% accuracy with humans. How many of you got 100% in your board exams or your college exams? Nobody did, right? So it's about you have to be a little forgiving. One, number two, when we say we evaluate systems against humans, we again there's a scope of error there, because even humans are not 100% correct. So there's a scope of error that humans will infuse into the systems that way. So in that respect, I think if we go back to how AI or any kind of digital system came about, if I give you if I give you two numbers, one 15 digit, another 20 digit, and I ask you to multiply it, chances of you making error is much higher than any other system. So that way, I think it's much more important to understand that that's where acceptance and openness come in. So you have to be a little accepting, a more open to change, and more open to understand that things are coming in to make your lives better. It's not coming in to make your lives worse. So that is, I think, the most important and profound difference that I have seen personally, seen both the sides, not just India but the West also. And I think that's the main difference between India and the West, in not just agriculture, in every other sector. That's my take on it.
I just want to add two things on Dr. Samia's point. I mean, it's very well said. See, if I bring my farming case, right, again, so there was nothing getting grown there, nothing, absolutely nothing. I mean, very few. I mean, sometimes once in a year, people used to go master and this and that. I mean, just to give an idea, per acre, people's earning over there like 6,000 to 8,000 rupees per year per acre, which is nothing, right? So with this technology, with all the risk associated and everything, with the wrong calculation risk and everything, that land that where per acre was 6,000 was earning just pure money, right? Because money is absolute, right? So there we are getting around 80,000 to 1 lakh per month now, right? So even if this technology suggests me a wrong fertilizer compositions or a wrong water compositions, I might lose 3 months of the crop at the max, right? But still, it is way better than what it was. I mean, I couldn't grow. Not me. I mean, all of the people there. I mean, we couldn't have anything there worth of that, or even 1/10 of that. So this technology is giving you more productivity, more efficiency and things. There will be error, obviously, but we have to outweigh that how much error I can absorb. Because right now, as I said, 30 families who didn't have any future is seeing a future, which is irreplaceable, right? So even if this AI does some miscalculations or something, we can survive that. We can still come out of that, and even we can apply more technology to do the course correction. But if we didn't apply the technology, I'm telling 50 years of, at least from the independence time, if we calculate in 50 years, we couldn't do anything there, with conventional thing, right? And if we wait for things to be solved on its own, like if I say, okay, the irrigations will be developed, or all the things will be done, the land preparations will be done properly, and all those things, right policies will be made, we would have been waiting 50 more years. So So yes, I completely agree to Dr. Samia's point. Yes, we should be little more forgiving and little more open, and in certain cases we should be little more collaborating. As I said, I mean, we shouldn't see technology as the challenge. We should see technology as our friend. Like sometimes your friends make mistake and you help them. Same way here, technology is there. I mean, it's not Terminator movie, guys. I mean, ultimately, technology is there to help us. So if something goes wrong, there is an option in technology to correct it. Instead of human intelligence, if something goes wrong, it may be the intention is wrong, right? And it's hard to correct. So yes, Dr. Samia, very well said. That's me. Thank you.
Besides that, I think from a technological perspective, from a technical perspective, which is I think why I'm here, is we are moving from statistical systems and just static systems to dynamical systems now. So just like the Google map is that, even if it shows you a wrong direction somewhere, it will optimize the rest of the journey for you in such a manner that it will make sure that you reach the destination. So the whole calculating probabilities at every step and optimizing it at every step. So that's the kind of singularity that we are moving towards in artificial intelligence, which is what makes it more reliable now, with static systems that we have that we used to have previously. So from a technical research perspective, we are moving to trustworthy AI. And most of these systems, when we talk about agriculture or healthcare, these are assistive technologies. These are generally not completely autonomous technologies. Even today, we have robotic surgeries that happen, but with supervision, or anything that happens is with supervision. So it's assistive technology. With that, I think it's more about innovation, and invention is something that's longer in the timeline, and it gets into that innovation cycle much later, once the trustworthiness is established. So in that way, I think not adopting something just because we know it's not 100% correct isn't probably a safe option to take. We all know Google Maps also, sometimes in most parts in India, in the rural part of India, it fails, but then we still take it, isn't it?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Sailesh, I think you had something to say.
Yeah. I've been waiting along to put my point. Actually, I would just like to focus on certain areas where India is different from what you really compared it from Western countries. First one is the mindset. The change in mindset of people is very much required, because we are thinking technology only for some areas, but we are not looking at technology in our day-to-day use, like maybe farming, maybe other utilities, etc. So if I believe that the government target of smart cities and smart villages is to be achieved, then probably we'll have to implement technology at the earliest in the villages. Second thing is connectivity is a big issue, for which again I believe work is going on, so I'm not going to comment on that issue, but connectivity is a big issue in most of the villages, and we'll not be able to implement these technologies if connectivity issues are there. So that's a major concern. Third point is regarding the intentional delay of these reforms reaching the farming sector, because there are a lot of hoarders who are actually doing the hoarding activity. This is especially in India, which we find this problem, because we don't find it in Western countries that much. So people are working towards the vested interest, where these commission agents, these hoarders, are going to earn a lot based on seasonal crops due to the hoarding activity. So if technology is coming, then they would be out of business. So that is a major issue where technology is being prevented from reaching the villages. Fourth point, which I believe, is that we need to look at organic farming also from a different perspective, because again, I was just going through a video I'm not that spiritual, but okay, I was just going through a video of a Brahma Kumari sister who was actually giving a small video. It was on when you perform yoga and meditation in the farm early morning every day, then probably there is a change in the crop size. I'm not sure about the results, but they are saying they have compared it and they have done it in Mount Abu premises. So if that is the case, probably technology can be merged with spiritual aspect also, and then probably we can try this experiment also for better results. But overall, I think so that our as long as this I wanted to avoid this topic initially in my talk also, but then since this comparison came, basically when we are looking at the political willpower, probably this is where we are suffering the most, because most of the agriculture ministers are not having any idea of agriculture. If you want to apply for any government job, you have to clear a lot of government exams for which your aptitude is tested. But to become an agriculture minister, you just need to win an election. Or you want to become a science and technology minister, you need to just clear an election. Even if you're not a graduate, you can become a HRD minister, irrespective of the governments I'm talking about. I'm not affiliated to any party, so I'm just taking my view on that. So this is probably one aspect. Where we have knowledgeable people of that field heading the ministries, probably we'll see a big change in the environment that we are finding towards the farmers, towards farming, and towards technology in farming overall.
Yeah, so thank you. So let me share my views. I think Shantanu covered many of the points. Yeah, so if you compare the international and the Indian agricultural system, the first important aspect is like average holding of the land. That is one of the critical thing. And yeah, rightly said, mindset is one of the thing, because farmer doesn't see agriculture as a business. Okay, when we consider it as a business and think it in a different way, then automatically we'll start implementing new techniques and methodologies to make profit. So that business mindset is not there in especially our farmers, because we do farming mostly for livelihood, most of the farmers, okay, for their own consumption, and many farmers traditionally they continue to follow the same methodologies and things. So that is another area. And second thing is like in terms of margins, if you see like internationally, the margins are around 60 to 70%, and in India, if you see, hardly 10% to 15%, sometimes it will go negative only. And another aspect is like predictability, market predictability. I can say India, it is nil, I can say. There is no predictability, even though we have the great mandi system, and we know how much we are exporting, how much we are consuming, but there is no system which will enable farmer to recommend like what crop need to be sown for that particular season. And we don't have even a proper weather prediction system to recommend farmers to go with a specific farming and everything. So that is one of the because in foreign countries, since the average holding is more than 400 hectares, people implement their own system to the predict weathers, and they implement some kind of technological system to take care of all these aspects. And adoption of technology, yes, there when you have a bigger holding and as a corporate business, obviously you will take decisions to implement technologies easily, because you can afford that technology to be implemented. But in India, yes, it's impossible unless you form it as a you create it as a community of let's say 100 farmers, 200 farmers together, and they plan and cultivate and bring in some kind of technology intervention. Otherwise, it is not possible. Okay, so that's why in India, FPOs, the farmer producing organizations, and organizations who can build a community of farmers and enable them with a information system, enable them with the technology, enable them with the various benefits of government schemes and policies, then only we can get into that level. Otherwise, it is, I can say, impossible to bring in new technologies and start to the small farmers.
I very correctly said, Amranda. I just want to add one thing there. That one ray of hope is with this SaaS model of cloud, technology usage has becoming a little more accessible. So, like as you said correctly, like previously to implement a technology it is only possible for a big farmer with a big budget or a corporate house, because they have to build the technologies in-house, they have to invest too much and all those things. But now with many the services available as services, many of the things are available as pay-per-use thing. So maybe you just want more accurate weather predictions or more accurate market predictions or a crop suggestions. Like as I said, I worked with Hyper to come up with a sustainable farming under sustainable farming model crop suggestions and up to next 5 seasons, right? It's not just the next seasons. And also you can calculate your yields of choosing. I mean, you can choose. So the tool suggests you the crop number 1, crop number 2, crop number 3 for per season, and if you change, it will show you graphically what is your yield changing, risk changing, and all those things. So previously, to use those technologies, you have to buy the licenses, you have to buy the software and agreements and all of the things. But now those has become very accessible as pay-per-use. As Dr. Sailesh was saying, that he hopes that things will be done from the mobile, sitting in a house, and those are things are becoming possible actually. I mean, you don't really have to pay for the technology upfront, like you're huge capex and all those things. Now the technologies is becoming more opex model. So as part you can use, okay, I only use this technology, but I will use this technology for 2 acres of land or 2 hectares of land. You only pay per that instead of the previous model. So yes, those challenges are there, but the ray of hope is that with the technologies as a whole, I mean, I'm not picking on IoT or AI or cloud or blockchain. As a whole, technology is aware of that thing, and technologies also think that yes, we have a large unorganized market that we have to connect to for our own sake, right? And that's why these technologies are becoming more and more useful. And I think, and as Dr. Samia touched upon that, with the help of 5G and other things, connectivities are improved. Even forget 5G. I think all of you know that we have a huge network in India from long time actually. The whole India is connected by a high speed fiber optic network through our rail net, right? Wherever there is a rail track, you have actually accessible network. You just have to build a connection from your land to that nearest rail track, and you can hop onto a broadband connection actually, and then you are connected, right? So with those things, so my point is, when we see technology, we should see it comprehensively and cohesively. And if we see that way, I'm hopeful that many of the challenges will be solved, if not all. The political, legal, and other aspects in India has its own complexity. Even quantum computing cannot solve it as of now, at least. But other aspects can be solved. And yes, it's becoming easier and easier to use the technology even for individual small farmer in a remote place. So that's becoming a reality.
Thank you very much, sir, and thank you for everyone who have spoken. Actually, I will have
Nitya
to
ma'am,
say,
I have one question for Mr. Shantanu. Actually, what was the cost that he bore for the technology that he implemented in the farm per acre or whatever?
Yeah, that's a little bit complicated to calculate as of now, because some of the technologies I used as my social responsibility wing of IBM. Some technology I used from the NGOs. So because, as I said, it was my proof of concept, and myself was doing is on a no profit thing, right? I was trying to help the other farmers. So I got help from government, from NGOs, and from IBM, my organization. So for me, expense was very less, but I did a back of hand calculations that how it will be priced if I have to buy or procure those technologies if I don't get the help. And it was coming actually, I mean, all the technologies that I used, it was coming around 10,000 per month per acre. So, and not the OPEX part, not the CAPEX part, because there was some CAPEX, but there are a lot of things actually. There is another challenge I want to see to all of you for the reality. See, in India, even we have, like Dr. Samia was saying, that there is so many things is not available to us. Actually, the problem is, and somebody said the connections. Yes, it's a problem is there is a lot of things actually available from the government or from the policies, but the problem is Those policies are known to Facebook, Twitter users. Those policies are not known to for people who actually need it. For example, the drip irrigation, the solar utilities, and many other things. It's actually free from government for any farming, right? But when I started working with the grassroots level, nobody who actually do the farming knows these things are available and what to do for that and all those things, right? So large part of the capex can be borne by the government, and it's not a contract farming. It's you just give your papers of land and all those things, and you sign a thing that what you are going to grow and for how long, and you get those. You just pay a very minimal amount for the installations. And like to give an example of 6 lakhs rupees worth of drip irrigations is free. You just have to give 6,000 rupees for that, just for the transportation part of it. So there is a lot of things are available, but it's being India, it's not very clear to whom it is available, how it is available. At least for the people who use that, they don't know how it is available. So net to give you answer, the technology expenses that I'm doing so far, leaving the capex, because that, as I said, it's hard to calculate because I got many things free. But OPEX is 1,000 per month, including the, I'm saying, including if something goes wrong, I have to replace a sensor here or a pump there and all those things, including it's coming around 10,000 per month per acre, which is, and as I said, if you see my 80,000 to 1 lakh earned per month from the same acre, it's nominal.
Thank you for the information,
I mean,
sir. Yes. Actually, we are running out of time because we only have 10 minutes left, and there is another panel discussion after this. So I would like to ask the panelists if you could give some closing points, some points that must be mentioned about this topic, just throw it into a quick round. I would like to start with Mr. Vikram Puri.
Yeah. So Mike, I have one the conversation list. Suppose if we develop a technology, okay, smart farming, we develop some smart sensors, or we develop full technology. We have the funding from the some investor, some university. Okay, we develop. But when we go to implement or when we scalable the technology, the first challenge is when we go to any farmer to implement the technology. First, he said why he changed his old technology, traditional technology. We explain him, okay, this technology will help you. It will give you the long-term benefits. Then he asks you another question: how much money is involved to change the technology? For sure, if you change the technology, so it costs a lot of money, like 10 lakhs or 1 million, or like $1 million, or maybe if the big farm is like $1 million, it costs. And then if here the government not support, he need to pay from his pocket. He directly refused you to change the technology. If he agree, and for sure which company he provide, like the AI technology. Suppose if the technology means they have a lot of sensors and it have a lot of data, so we need a data analytics also. So which company do this work, they also charge the money, they have the subscription fees. Like every month, why they pay the money for this thing? Very difficult to explain to the farmers about the long-term investment. They only care about the short-term investment. So here is the one big challenge: how we make the technology scalable. Like you see, research, if the research doing is very good, we can do many things with the research. We go with the new ideas, coming out with the new ideas. But if we don't have the scalable system, so it's very difficult to implement. Rather than suppose if you charge any person with 100 rupees, is suppose if the one farmer every month he have a 1,000 bill, many less farmer will involve in this. But if the farmers need to pay only 10 rupees and 15 rupees a month, many farmers will involve. These are the big companies like Adani or Ambani. Every big company, when they develop their products or when they launch their products, what they make the scalable, how they will reach to the many people. Like suppose in the past, when the Airtel he working in the India, the charges for the internet is very high. But when the Jio is come, full telecommunication market changed. Now you will get the big data in the small amount. So they like everyone is like make a scalable system is not easy. Developing a technology is easy. It more easy to make a system more scalable. So my like the my question the my question like my conversation like we need to make some strategies when we develop a technology. We also need to care like how we can make a more scalable system. How many farmers will like if the companies launch the product, the how many farmers or how many customers they are attached with them to make us this system like a big. But suppose if this system is not big, suppose if only 50 or 100 people is like is connected with you, how long you will survive with this one? After that, which company who make the product, they also stop the product. So we again on the loophole, we develop a technology, stop, and when develop, we need to also care about this thing. Like we need to change the mindset. Why in the Western countries, like not Western countries, why in the developed countries and the developing countries are different? Because when the developed countries they implement the product, they have the many good policies from the government also. But in the developing countries, it's quite difficult. Like whether the government support the farmers, I cannot say that they don't support. They support a lot, but with the new technologies, it's also difficult for the government to make the system scalable. It also depend on the mindset.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Amarendra, would you like to go ahead with your closing statements?
Yes, Nacha, like again, considering India, so we need to bring out some kind of systems. There should not be much cost to the farmer, and it should yield a higher return on investments. And most importantly, educating the farmer, that is one of the main thing which we need to look at. If you are building any kind of system, we should have a hand holding with the farmer. You cannot simply deploy and wait for the results. So we should always build a model which will handhold the farmer and educate them. It may take one generation, but definitely the transformation is possible. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Ms. Samia, would you like to go next? Closing remarks.
Okay, so I mean, as far as my understanding of the whole system goes, is we have agricultural universities in main agricultural states, and they generally have tie-ups with local farmers for proof of concept, for understanding and propagating their research. And I think what is more important is, I would say for myself, in academia, we write projects that are very, very abstract in nature. It would be more helpful if we go ahead with projects that tie up with agricultural universities or the local farmers or organizations that work for local farmers, and maybe come up with research projects that can have some real impact on the society. That might help in getting the funding as well, and not asking the farmer to give any, initially getting any investment from the farmer.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Mr. Shantanu?
Yeah, as you probably guessed, that I'm very hopeful about this whole thing, and it just started, guys and girls. It just started, and if like people like you who are coming out of colleges fresh with your new ideas, new things, I'm sure this just the tip of the iceberg. And yes, we will have challenges. We'll overcome those challenges. But it's a new emerging market, and it's gonna pick up like anything. I'm completely hopeful, and it will be completely changing the way we see things very soon. So I'm very hopeful, and I wish you all the luck and the right resources if any of you want to jump into this field.
And finally, Dr. Sailesh, Mr. Sailesh.
Yeah, actually, there are a lot of concerns, lot of pessimistic points raised also, concerns from various technology angle, mindset angle, political angle. I have also raised some concerns. But what I feel is that rather than waiting, because I've also seen a lot of advertisements released by the respective state governments and central government, wherein they give all the farmer schemes in English newspapers. I doubt whether the farmers are actually reading the English newspapers. But anyhow, with all these pessimistic points, I would like to raise one concern that what we can do probably is what we should be talking about. So from a academic angle, I would like to say that we have a great role to play. Universities and colleges, combined with actually an ideal case would be that 3 or 4 industries nearby, the university as a whole. I mean, any university, suppose if I am from Rai University, I can say that, okay, nearby 4 to 5 villages are there. I can tie up with a few industries nearby who are related to agriculture or even not related to agriculture, but they may be forming a sponsorship role or some other role. We can take our students to the farm, to the farming sector. We can tell them that these are the challenges, how can you work on it? And probably if we adopt a few villages where we are going to transform farming from the traditional mode into smart farming, probably I think so the funding concerns will go. The farmers would not be skeptical about investing a huge amount because they are being funded by this universities and industries. And government will also feel compelled to come into this because this model is working. So government will feel that if we are not part of it, we will be left out during the next elections. So probably from that angle, we need to push the governments to perform in this angle. And here students, academicians, research scholars, universities, management of universities, industries as a whole, NGOs, if they want to support, they can all form and we can adopt some villages. Like in Gujarat, there is one village, I don't remember the exact name, but it was the first village to go totally digital. And ICICI Bank had adopted that village and transformed that village. So what I mean to say here is that the change has to come from us. We can't expect others, or we can't just keep on cribbling or complaining that, okay, this is not happening, this is not happening. We need to take things in our hands and we need to be the change that we want to see in others. So with these words, I think so it's a very positive note from all the panelists, and I'm happy to spend a very productive Sunday, the first half at least, on this very fruitful discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. All of you have been very inspiring, and I would like to thank all of you for taking this Sunday to join this panel discussion. As a student, I have been completely intrigued by the topic, and I will research it personally further. And we've only scratched the surface. I feel we could have talked so much more about this topic. I've only got one question done. But anyway, a huge thank you to all of you for being available today, for being proactive and making the time for this session, adding your valuable insights to this discussion. Highly appreciated. We can say we proudly have created a conversation and we've put it into the world. Thank you for the viewers and everyone who have made this possible. And this is it. We are closing up. This has been the panel 3 of the Intelligent Systems Forum.
Thank you for being such a wonderful host, Nithya.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Good morning, ma'am.
You hear me? Let me turn on my video.
Dr. Sunil, Dr. Joaquin Keller, Ms. Pavitra, please switch on your cameras. We shall now commence with the panel 4. Good morning, sir. Hello, sir. Good morning.
Have I turned on my camera?
No, ma'am, you're not visible.
Okay. It's asking me to start sharing something.
Yes, ma'am, you should switch on, share your camera.
Okay, got it. I'm there.
Am I audible and visible as well?
Yes, sir. visible and audible. And I request you to switch off your mics for the no disturbance.
Okay. Do you hear me well?
Sorry, sir.
Do you hear me well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Nice. Oh.
Ma'am, you're
didn't hear
muted.
you.
Pavitra, ma'am, you're muted. So as everyone are here, we shall begin with the fourth panel. So good morning, everyone. I hope I'm audible and everything is clear. So we can commence with the fourth panel. All right then, without further ado, we shall get started. My name is Sahiti Reddy, proudly the moderator of the session, and I heartily welcome you all to this panel discussion of the Intelligent Systems Forum on the topic Future of AI. This event had been organized by IIIC, Industry Institute Induction Cell in collaboration with ATPD at Stanley. Firstly, I would like to show my heartfelt gratitude to all the panelists for taking the time and joining us today. Before moving ahead, I would like to give a small glimpse of my college and our team. Stanley College of Engineering and Technology for Women is a leading institution established in the year 2008, a temple of learning at the heart of the City of Pearls. Stanley is an autonomous institution accredited by NAC with grade A and accredited by NBA for all eligible engineering courses. Stanley is also an ISO certified institution. Stanley has a strong belief: empower women, impact the world. Coming to our team, about those big dreams, ATPD in short, a student body at Stanley College. We are formed amidst the early days of the pandemic to help students achieve their big dreams. With about 70 plus sessions and 4 major conferences, we have built a wide range of well-versed speakers on the topics of education, science, technology, entrepreneurship, art, and world issues. ATPD is for the mind searching for their ideal path. We need to explore opportunities and experience things that we haven't tried. So having said that, I would like to take the privilege to introduce our esteemed speakers to the audience. So we have our first panelist, Dr. Sunil Kumar Uppala. Dr. Sunil Kumar is the Director Data Science at Ericsson Global AI, Bangalore. Dr. Sunil is an alumnus of IIT Roorkee, IIIT Bangalore, and IIM Ahmedabad. Sir has 17 plus years of industrials and research experience in machine learning, deep learning, analytics, the Internet of Things, and automation. He worked in Oracle, Infosys R&D, and Philips Research before joining Ericsson. Sunil is a lead inventor of 30 patents and published 30 papers and delivered 100 plus guest lectures. He is a senior member of ASIAM, IEEE, and a fellow of IETE. He is one of the top 10 data scientists in India for 2019, recipient of Zuno Technical Role Model in Emerging Technology Award 2020, IEEE TAMS Engineering Manager of the Year 2020, Next 100-year winner 2020 as India's future CIO and ASIAM distinguished speaker. He is a co-chair of industry engagement in IEEE Bangalore section, a recognized thought leader, and an adjunct faculty in premier institutes. We are deeply honored to welcome you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have our second panelist, Ms. Pavitra Sulai Jawahar. Ms. Pavitra is an AI practitioner and entrepreneur. Her startup Kin.io was acqui-hired by Swiggy in 2019. At Swiggy, she worked as staff data scientist specializing in computer vision, working on interesting projects like prototyping kitchen rugs using Jetson Nano for checking food quality in restaurants and GSIM-based information extraction. She enjoys building innovative models for challenging real-world problems and believes that AI success comes from standing grounded in the reality of the business problems it is designed to solve. Welcome, ma'am. Thank you for your interest in joining us. Moving on to the next, we have our third panelist, Ms. Kavita Yogaraj. Ms. Kavita Yogaraj is a quantum computational scientist at IBM. At IBM, she has successfully delivered cloud-based data movement projects for real-time systems at Marriott account. She has spent a major part of her career in the startup company, working closely with the stakeholders. She has built the data crawling infrastructure, designed end-to-end architecture with implementation. Since 2019, she has developed a keen interest in quantum Qiskit libraries for the role of quantum data scientist in IBM. Currently at IBM, she is building hybrid classical machine learning and quantum algorithms for industry applications. Welcome, ma'am. Thank you for accepting our request. Last but not
Thank you very much.
Welcome, ma'am. Last but not least, we have our fourth panelist, Dr. Joaquin Keller. Dr. Joaquin Keller is the founder of EXAQ.AI, a startup focused on quantum machine learning. He previously co-founded Entropica Labs, a company developing quantum software in Singapore. With MSc in theoretical computer science and a PhD in distributed algorithms, Dr. Joaquin is a mathematician by training who arrived late to quantum algorithms. In a previous life, he taught at Paris-based universities and led research teams at the R&D division of Orange, the French global telecommunication company. Joaquin is the designer of PolyDate QML, a quantum machine learning algorithm able to work on early quantum computers. With this algorithm, his team was able to train a quantum model for the well-known Iris flower dataset. Greetings, sir. We are glad to have you. And I apologize if I mispronounced any name, but we are truly delighted to welcome you here today. I gladly proceed by introducing the topic and a small round of inceptive insights about the topic. AI, or artificial intelligence, seems to be on the tip of everyone's tongue these days. While I've been aware of the major trend in the tech development for a while, I've noticed AI appearing more and more like one of the most in-demand areas of expertise for job seekers. I'm sure that for many of us, the term AI conjures up sci-fi fantasies of fear about robots taking over the world. No one can predict exactly how AI will evolve in the future. The current trends and developments paint a much different picture of how AI will become part of our lives. In reality, AI is already at work all around us, impacting everything. As all eyes are now on the benefits of the future developments of AI, the goal I would like to place for this session is to be able to discuss a content fruitful to the students and everyone new to the field of AI to clear all the myths about the future of AI and direct take an optimistic path towards choosing a career in and building more and more AI applications. So now I'm done introducing the topic. We shall now begin with the round of initial thoughts and views about the topic. Sunil sir, would you like to start? What do you see for the future of AI?
Definitely. Yeah. So being in the AI world for maybe more than 10 years, right? So what I'm very much optimistic. That's where I maybe when you invited me for what topic is more suitable for the panel discussion, I choose this. So if I see the future of it, it's more like it's not new, by the way. Most of the people, and we might have already discussed in other panels as well, AI is not new. It has dated to almost like 50 years plus, right? So the history point of it. But we are talking about AI 2.0, 3.0. Those are the things we are talking now. For me, if you talk about the future, so in the short term, what it looks like is it's going to be more democratized, right? So right now, if you look for the professionals point of it, I may not get the people with the so and so experience in a particular domain. So we can't take out the domain expertise, but for the students, it is maybe very much open. So it depends on over the year, you are gaining expertise both on the domain and on the technology. That's where the good marry of solving the real problems. That's the short term point of it. I will use some buzzwords, but over the time, maybe in that panel discussion, we can demystify further. So what comes to my mind in the future of AI, maybe 3 E's and 1 T. What does it mean is first explainable AI, then second E for edge AI, and third E for ethical AI, right? And the T stands for trusted AI. So these are buzzwords, and we can talk each of them for an hour or so. But I will give you a teaser in this particular introduction. Then we will, based on the interest of the students, will deep dive, right? So the explainable AI, why it is important is initially the last 10 years, if you see, be it computer vision, be it natural language processing, be it in the AI, where we see the real applications, it's working, right? We don't bother why it works, but it is working and delivering the results. The good example is the vaccination, what we are seeing in the COVID-19. So it usually takes, let's say, 5-6 years. We are talking about few months. There's a good play of AI also in that. So we are talking about to get the regulatory approvals and all that, that it needs to be explainable, right? So that is first pass. Second thing is edge AI. So right now, what we are talking mostly within our campus boundaries, what you are solving, or maybe within the cloud boundaries. So we are talking about getting into the mobile, or maybe getting into the drones, or getting into the models, right? The AI models really working, not just only inference, maybe collecting the data point of it. That's the edge AI. Third E is ethical AI. Unless we solve that particular piece, only the technology. First two is more on the these explainable edge AI and the technology part, but the ethical aspects. So people are worrying about the privacy aspects, and we need to respect the land of rules as well, right? So to have the democratization of AI, we need to be mindful on not to have the biases or not to violate any privacy rules. So we need to build the robust models, but using these ethical AI. And the last piece is on the trusted AI. Okay, so the trusted AI is a combination of security aspects and then solve problem with that, right? So and I'm even mixing the green AI also in that. What does that mean is we need to build the models which are trustworthy, maybe deployable beyond the cloud. At the same time, it should be energy efficiency. It should be energy efficient as well, right? So there are a lot of thoughts maybe scattered together in these four buzzwords. We'll deep dive further, but that's what my future looks like. And if you talk about beyond 10 years, maybe artificial general intelligence, right? That's maybe much more futuristic, so which may compete with the human brain. So this is what the short term, medium term, and the long term views from my side to start with.
Thank you, sir. That was very insightful. And over to you, Ms. Dr. Keller. Please add your standpoints.
Hello. Yes, I agree with Dr. Kumar Bhupala that AI is going to be more popular in the sense that we're going to have more of it in our everyday life, maybe self-driving cars and a lot of applications. But if we look at the more advanced research, we can get an insight of what happened in the past. And I mean, AI was kind of stuck of having applications because of the lack of compute power. And it was just in 2012 that finally had a breakthrough with deep learning thanks to GPU. And then we had like this GPU, and then the most advanced AI system started using more and more compute power. And I mean, at the beginning, the researcher was using one GPU or maybe then a bunch of machines doing GPU. And now you can see that companies like OpenAI have built a whole supercomputer just for doing, for training the models that need more and more compute power. And the same, only the big players with huge data centers like Google, Facebook, and the likes, can be ahead, on the research. But if you look at the Moore's law, what's going on now is that the growth of how many, the most advanced system, how many compute power they're using, kind of reaching again a wall. We'll need more compute power that is not available. So this will not, hinder the progress of AI, and the democratization of AI. But for the more advanced models, this will be a problem. And this is when, quantum computing can play a role there, because as we know, for some kind of problems, quantum computer can allow, exponentially, can unleash, exponentially more compute power, but only for some problem, and also when, because quantum computers are not ready yet. What we have now, for example, at IBM, is small quantum computers with few qubits, few noisy qubits, not the exact qubits that quantum computers would like to have. And also we have another problem, is that we are not sure yet to be able to run in a meaningful way machine learning on quantum computers. So there's a lot of uncertainty, but the promise are very high, so we're still going to work on that. But so the time frame Kavita from IBM will not say the contrary. Maybe we are in a path that we need 10 years to start having something meaningful for the industry, or maybe 15 years. But this is like more or less the time frame. So in a word, I would say we are hitting a compute power wall just right now in AI for the research. But people are working to overcome that and to get to next stage. And this is our role here in the industry, and for the students to to know that this is going to be new opportunities, new research to going on the topic.
Thank you, sir. There were very good points raised by you, and we'll emphasize on these topics in the discussion throughout. And Ms. Pavitra, could you please elucidate on this?
Hey, hi. I think really excellent points from both Dr. Sunil and Dr. Keller. It's I'm sure everyone have heard about GPT-3, right? Like it has 175 billion parameters, and it has completely changed the landscape of AI today. And if you the thing is this, right? Earlier, I started my career with computer vision. Earlier, whatever was so difficult to be done in 2014, today it's just a blog which says, okay, you want to do real-time post estimation, there it is. And we used to struggle so much. That's how much of leaps and bounds that AI has grown. But when you look at this GPT-3 model, right, today, NLP is at the cutting edge. NLP is teaching computer vision how to do it. And, I'm sure you have heard this, like, this Marvel superhero Spider-Man, he keeps saying, with great power comes great responsibility, right? So with great power, with AI, that we have a great responsibility, as Dr. Sunil said, that we have to talk more about ethical AI and trusted AI, because future of AI is not where AI is going to take us. It's about where we're going to take AI, right? So that's something that I would love to discuss about, how can we create bias-free systems in AI? And also, as Dr. Keller was talking about, I'm sure you have heard about this. There is a microchip shortage that's happening across the globe, right? And that is actually causing a lot of concerns. Even NVIDIA has talked about it, saying that GPUs might be of shortage, right? And without the GPU-like compute, AI will not thrive, right? So we should also look at quantum or other technologies which give us GPU-like compute for AI models. And another thing that I also want to think about, talk about, is, because we have a lot of students here, is that how do we make India as an AI powerhouse, right? Like, because you are going to sculpt the future of AI, right? It's about you guys. So think about it. We can also probably ask a lot of questions. It's a great panel to have. So let's have a pretty lively conversation.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. We're also having very exciting questions throughout the panel. So yeah, Ms. Kavita, please share your view on this. Ma'am, you're on mute. You're not audible, ma'am.
Hey, Kavita, we can't hear you. You're still on mute.
You're on mute, ma'am. Yes. Please press the unmute button there, ma'am. There is a mic option on your screen. Please click on that. Ma'am, there is a microphone option on your screen, ma'am. Please click on that.
Yeah. So I think this is a few AI problems that we'll have to fix soon.
That is very common with this web thing, internet issues.
No, but I have done a couple of panels with Kavita. Usually she has not had issues, so I think she'll let her join again.
No problem, ma'am. We'll get back to Kavita later. We'll move on further. So now we are done with the initial insights, and now I shall place a few questions. And my first question is...
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. You're audible now, please.
I reconnected. Sorry about the confusion.
No problem, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Hey, I think Sunil, Dr. Keller, and Pavitra, all of them mentioned very good points. The future of AI is definitely in the innovation. and lots of papers to read, lots of research works to do. Of course, we will have to do implementation of it, and that's where applications come into picture. But without the innovation enough, we can't do it more, right? So there's a lot of people like Dr. Sunil, Dr. Keller, like at least I'm trying to point them here because they are involved in innovation. They're involved in researching stuff. Like when it comes to patents, right? We all come with new ideas. So we doubt, at least I have doubted many a times. No, this is not a new idea. This is just combining couple things like from A, B, C. But connecting A, B, C in a manner such a way that there is an innovation, nobody would know it, right? That is where your innovation skills comes into picture. That's where is the future also. For example, Dr. Keller mentioned quantum computing, or Dr. Sunil also mentions artificial intelligence is not new. Definitely, it's not new. It is the computing power of our machines which has made us do it today in our machines. Quantum computing, if you want to take it right, in 2016 May, 18 quantum computers were deployed into cloud. Oh my God! It is 18 quantum computers, which was in 1960s. Dr. Feynman, who actually came up with saying that if you don't do it quantum mechanically, then you are failing miserably. That's what Feynman mentioned it in 1960s. And that is when quantum mechanics came into picture, right? Quantum mechanics has been there, but we haven't been using it. Today, we have quantum computers on the cloud, which is really awesome. How did this future come into picture is because of those innovations, is because of those thinking, researching about it. A lot of reading has to be done. Like if I can't get books, what I do is I'm just trying to open one of my books here. Like I have a couple of them. Like I simply take printouts of it and then make a book like this. It's like many things are available, right? So this is where I really started with quantum computers, Maria Schul's book on quantum machine learning. So basically, there's a lot of books to read. So why I'm telling this is because you're all future of quantum computers, future of you are the people who are going to do it, right? So we have probably 10 to 20 years. I agree with Dr. Keller. One thing that he mentioned, we are not going to make it. Quantum computers are not going to make for 100 or not going to replace classical machine learning today. Of course, true. Because classical machine learning is able to solve many problems. Quantum computers comes into picture where classical machine learning cannot solve any such problem. And there are a lot of research papers on that. So this is what I think, researching and innovation on that, and then reading a lot of these things. This is where the future lies in. Of course, we can talk big, but it's the fundamentals we need to get it corrected, so that we can actually go apply them and then connect the dots. That's what I think. Yeah. Ready for questions now.
Thank you, ma'am. All of you mentioned really amazing topics to discuss in this panel. We shall move forward with the questions. So I would like to begin with the questionnaire. My first question is, personally, what fascinates you more about AI? Ms. Pavitra, would you like to start?
Hey, can you repeat the question?
Personally, what fascinates you more about AI?
Personally, what?
Fascinates you more about AI?
Okay, so the thing is about AI, right? Like the possibilities, right? That is something that is mind-boggling. And trust me, when we started out our startup in 2014, we didn't have deep learning back then. And I think it was in 2016 that people were starting to say that let's start using deep learning, GPUs, and YOLO came into picture. And I tried reading the YOLO paper. I couldn't make any sense of it. And I was like, what is happening, right? Like that is what is exciting, because there are so many things that you have to learn. The landscape keeps changing every week, every month. See, for example, if you're going to be just like, I know CNNs, but I don't know what transformers do, you are old news within a year. Trust me, you have to keep innovating yourself, and that is quite challenging. The thing about AI is this: it impacts us as human beings, right? I'm not talking about this kind of AI wherein we're going to give control to AI. I'm not talking about that, but it's about how AI can make our life easier, right? And I think that that's amazing. Like for example, medical AI, right? Can be people are able to leave alone COVID, but when it comes to other kind of diseases, they're able to diagnose it. They're able to diagnose even, for example, if you have Alzheimer's or Parkinson's disease, even those kind of symptoms that a doctor cannot see, but kind of patterns that can be picked up. Amazing. Then that's where AI really shines, and it's you can start at anywhere in AI. Trust me, you are going to work on ML models or on deep learning models or on quantum. You have a ton of challenges to solve ahead of you, and each challenge is going to impact us in different ways.
Yes, ma'am. Would someone like to add to that? Dr. Sunil, sir.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree with what Pavitra mentioned. So we should be passionate, and otherwise, we should be a continuous learner, right? Otherwise, we'll be outdated. So initially, it is more like when it is a Java world kind of a thing for students, you can survive for few years. But now, unless you are a continuous learner, you will be outdated very soon. So, but the main fascination comes from we can solve beyond our imagination, right? We have compute power, we have let's say the availability of data, and we have the reusable architecture, the best combination which is available not few years ago but now. So for the I'm surprised that these days, even for the students, right, we are not talking about experts who are the data scientists and all that, but the students at the end of second and third year itself, when they're coming for the internship, we are surprised with the basic skills they have and the availability. The only thing is we are just touching upon, we need to play the role of getting and bifurcating the problem and giving it to them. So, and we have complete trust with the next generation. They are masters and we are learning from them, right? So that's the, it's not just only we are learning from our seniors, right? So even from the interns I'm talking about. So that's the main fascination, and at the end we are adding value to the society, right? That's where my fascination comes from.
Thank you, sir.
That point, Dr. Sunil. The reason being, I think in the month of January or February of this year, 2021, I attended an event where I was evaluating the performance of PS University in Bangalore. PS is, you know, it is one of the top in Karnataka. So, right, second year, third year, and freshman, like new first year, these are the kids of engineering who actually competed in that. I mean, even they were fourth year also. They are doing what we are doing, staying in industry after 10 years. It's like they are like beginners of engineering skills, right? I asked them, like, where did you even learn this? Like, are your parents into engineering? It's not about their parents, it's not about this, but it's about the whole society who is into doing these things. Because where is AI today? Tell me. Like, it's in your cars, it's in your pockets, it has become pervasive, right? We begin to trust everything today. Like, for example, I have a notification that your gas is empty in my mobile. I mean, that's when I know that, but my mother didn't know that. She knew exactly 3 months or 2 months the gas will come, the gas that they use, the gas cylinders today, right? But now we believe on AI for everything. So we have calendars to notify us. We have calendars to make us be attentive for this. And there was one student who did this time series forecasting. Time series forecasting in machine learning is one of the tough job, actually, to say. So when we have slow movers data, and you have to do forecastination. The forecastination comes into picture for what is going to be your sales in your company. Like, for example, now there is a COVID situation, it's going to be slow sales, and then in terms of slow sales, how do you do this time series forecasting of the company, so that how much they want to purchase, how much they want to keep their keep their data, right? So that's what they are that's what time series forecasting talks about. And the people who actually attended in a competition, they did it really very well. They're still kids, they're still doing engineering, and they studied a lot by researching themselves and implementation. That's where their fascination to a subject comes into picture. So I really like that point, Pavitra. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, you rightly mentioned that young generation is doing much better in the field of AI. It's also because the fact that there are many resources right now to learn from anywhere. So maybe that is the reason I am assuming. So, Dr. Keller, please add your standpoints.
I mean, what I think, I mean, the success of AI, one of the reasons it's very successful, is because what is happening with the computer hardware. If you see on the Moore's law at the beginning, I mean, you had like individual processors, and the processors were coming more and more powerful after each generation, I mean, following an exponential law. At some point, I mean, we stopped that trend. I mean, it was not like every processor was getting more powerful, but we were getting more processors because the processor were starting becoming cheaper after each generation exponentially. So, I mean, now when we say one CPU, actually inside the CPU, there are many documentation. When you say a GPU, maybe, I mean, the latest NVIDIA chips have thousands of cores. So actually, you have thousands of processors, and each generation you have more. When you are talking about a supercomputer, actually, you have millions of GPU, each having thousands of cores. So you have like many processors going on, I mean, working together. And there are not many algorithms that you can run on many processors. A lot of algorithms just need one processor running for a very long time, and you cannot distribute that very easily. But the thing is that machine learning is something that you can really distribute it. So you can, if you have all these computers, I mean, cores, I mean, growing at a fast pace, and with machine learning, you can exploit this compute power, and in a way that you don't need to design new algorithms. You must have to have ideas of which kind of data you can use for which application. So this is enabling people to work, to have ideas, and to harness all this compute power. So this is one reason of the success of machine learning. It's not only because it's useful, but it's because it can harness all the compute power we are building, we're growing out there. So this same adaptability, I think, is going to play a role with quantum computers. In the sense that for the moment, we don't have many algorithms running on quantum computers. I mean, if we had like today a very powerful quantum computers, I mean, we fast forward 10 years and now we have 1 million qubits, which is more or less what we expect to have in 10 years. We won't have many algorithms running there. Maybe we could break RSA keys, but I mean, this is not something very transforming. But I think AI could run on these quantum computers, but it's not going to happen if we don't do anything. So that means that we need, in the 10 years coming now, we need to start experimenting with the quantum computers that are available now. I mean, the small prototypes that are available now. That, I mean, the small that will become bigger. At some point, we have like full-fledged quantum computers. So this is going to happen by experimentation. On the other one, on the classical computers, we are going to have more and more power because there will be more, I mean, compute power available. Your GPU chips are going to have more cores. So, and then this part is again imagination, research. I mean, people coming up with new applications, new ideas how to use it. Now we have, I mean, we mentioned medicine, you have like in transportation, but probably there are many other applications that we don't think they are important now, but they will become in the next year. So that means all that is not going to happen by magic. It's going to happen because of people working on it, having either, I mean, using the new compute power coming there with quantum computer, or either finding new applications for all the chips. So this is, I mean, since we are here talking with to many students, this is something important to note. So that the revolution of AI is still ongoing. I mean, it's in the future more than in the past. This is going to happen thanks to the people working on it and the new generation working on that.
Thank you, sir. So moving on to the next question. My question to Dr. Sunil is, what will it take to build a trusted AI? Who is responsible for AI's mistakes?
Yeah, interesting question. So it's not just only limited to the technical angle, right? So when you say who is responsible for what, so maybe I can relate a small, maybe except Dr. Keller, other people may be able to relate to other students also. Maybe if you are aware of the Robo movie, or we have a lot of from Hollywood also to take, right? So, or Matrix and other ones. So we do have some developments by the so-called hero, and then maybe a green chip versus red chip, right? So who is responsible for the damage caused, right? So one is the trusted AI has multiple components like a security, and is it doing its own particular job? Is it adaptable to the changes? So can we? Is it not having any biases or any preferences, right? So these are a lot of angles with that to build the robust models in the trusted AI. So one is on the using the technology. Let's say one common problem to build maybe to the trusted kind of a models is unbalanced class data sets. In the real world, we are playing with that, be it the COVID positive, negative, or maybe the mobile fraud transactions. So we can't use directly the data as is, right? So to build a trusted system, so we need to use maybe the latest technologies like GANs or maybe the smart kind of statistical methods, at least to make sure we are not trying to get the inherent biases, and we need to be futuristic as well while building the model or generalized model. That is one way to handle it at a technical level. And the second thing is the privacy angle, right? So while building the trusted, we need to give assurance for the people we are not intruding to your privacy, we are respecting your land of rules. So that is second point. The third point is so these two are the responsibility, who are the people who are building it. Once we build it, and it is, take example of the autonomous cars, right? It's a one of the common example where people, or maybe the students mainly, can relate to easily, right? It's an amalgamation of a lot of technologies, as Pavitra mentioned, pose identification or maybe the computer vision. It has those angles, it has the huge data coming from the satellite, from the radar. There are multiple, one of the complex system which is, you can see, which is in practice, right? So 10 years ago, if I recollect, I visited the Google research project in the Silicon Valley. That time I was thinking it's like a fascinating project. Maybe 10 years ago also, will it come anytime to the road and to the people? But when I visited just before the COVID, I'm seeing a lot of cars roaming around to collect the data. It's not just only Teslas, right? So there are other people as well. And it's, we are started accepting it. And maybe in India, we are talking about autonomous car level 1, right? But maybe in future, we can talk, a lot of startups are also there in that journey. Why I'm taking that as an example where you can relate it to. And now, unless we are trusting that particular machine to do the right decision, it costs life, right? Just like in healthcare, at least it may take some time to damage. Here, one fraction of decision change, instead of let's say brake, if you put the decision on the acceleration, gone, right? The damage is there. Now if that happens, is it clear for us whom to blame, right? Is it the manufacturer like Tesla, or the people who are providing the data for it, or the people are providing you the, finally you are unless it is a level 5 of automation, the driver is still responsible, right? There are multiple angles from the legal aspects. As of now, is it clear for us whom to take? It's still not, right? Another example I can quote in the same thing, MIT research says, let's say you are going in that particular speed, in that you have somebody coming on the road. You have two choices to make. You can dash that particular person if you don't brake. If you brake at that speed, your life will be gone. Whom to prioritize? We don't have direct answers for those, right? And that to difficult situations, and we can't make law also in that. That's why law is so complex, and then in every country we have hundreds and thousands of cases lying there, and we are a little bit complicating with the AI into picture, right? So, but at least in the near future, because we are talking about the future of AI, technology comes first always, and the lawmaking will follow, right? So we are sure maybe it goes step by step. It's not like we are making a decision at the law making will happen overnight. It takes its own time, and it needs to evolve. But when I say that, it's the responsibility, to answer your point, technologists and the people who are using it responsibly in a ethical way, right? And finally, the regulators who will help us for the use in the society, in the larger society, for the good of humanity.
Yeah, the decision, right?
Yes.
The decision making people are very important to trust that AI actually.
Correct.
That's totally true. That's
Correct.
basically feed in there's a line that we call in machine learning, right? So what you feed is what you get. So if our training data is really bad, then our predictions are also going to be really bad. So what the autonomous car example, right? If there is a toy or a real baby, actually, when the car is driving, what it has to do, it has to be fed from the training data. It can't decide, the machine cannot decide at that time because it's already been fed what to do. So the programmer is really very important. So you, the programmer who is going to implement them, these kind of applications, you're really important. You have to do a lot of enough research and put that decision making skill to your machine learning models. So that is really very valuable. That is when that is also called as accuracy score. What is the precision, what is the recall in your models? So how accurate is your models? So if your models are I'd say 98% accuracy, what are those 2% where it is actually failing? We better know where it is failing also. So we need to the trusting of these AI machines actually comes into picture when we don't trust our own models. So behind the scenes, it's all our models there. So we need to feed the machine learning models with good, right data so that we get right decisions made from that machine learning brain. True.
Both of you mentioned really amazing points, sir. Sir, you both of you mentioned that. So what you said is engineers to be blamed if there is any mistakes in AI. Is that what you made, sir? Engineers to be blamed?
So
that's the starting point. Just to
Okay.
sorry for that. That's the starting point, but that's not the only one, right? So it's not just only the technology piece. Whoever really users also, if they are using, if that particular is, I built a good technology and given the let's say. Talk about the regular car. Forget about the autonomous car, right? The regular car, this is best engineered card in the world is given to the user. If the user is not given, he will be put into the jail, not the guy who created that, right? So what I'm saying is the user first responsibility will lie with the creator, whoever is in this case programmers or data scientists and all, maybe the data providers, right? Everybody is responsible. But second thing is using the sensible. That's where the law is coming into picture to identify whose mistake is that. Is it a fundamental mistake at the creator level or the users level, right? So everybody is responsible in the society, but more responsibility at this stage is coming with the engineers, let's say, to start with. But it won't end with there.
So can we also blame the algorithm itself?
Yeah. Yes. There are you know the instances where even the best of the brains, be it Microsoft, Facebook, and all, they started giving some kind of a tools outside, and then they are revoking, or maybe they revoked some of these applications because the intention is little different, and people started using in a completely different direction. Yeah, yes, Pavitra, you have a comment. Yeah.
So the person who YOLO, he stopped research in computer vision because he doesn't want his YOLO models to be used by the military governments or the military department, right? So the thing is, blame. There is, I would want to say there's no blame attribution here. By the way, 2 years back, I think things are changing a little bit now. AI has a little bit matured. I'm sure Dr. Sunil also agree. So the thing is in AI, right? Like when you're talking about AI systems, there are this bunch of people saying AI is magic. Everything is going to change. And then there's a bunch of people saying, no, I don't think AI, I don't trust AI, right? There has to be a middle path that we have to take. And most importantly, that important point that you have to notice, AI has a long tail. You know, when I say long tail, given a problem, you can solve 60 to 70% of the problem. What about the 30%? And that's where complex systems comes in. That's where your UX comes in. That's where your human computer interaction comes in. That's where what kind of a product that we are selling comes in, right? So it's not just about like a black box saying, okay, this is going to be there and this is going to save us. No, this is a human technology and it's prone to fail. It's about what kind of systems are we going to have when it fails. So it's very simple, right? Like I think this is one of the FANG companies. I'm not sure. I have to check it. But they had this thing wherein you give a resume, and it was only this system was only taking up male candidates for a job, because historically male candidates were the ones who have been taken up, because probably women were not there in the field, right? Now, wouldn't that be something? And that's where the whole diversity cuts off. Probably when we're doing the model, probably can we, let's say, use something like a synthetic data, not just use the real data? Can we not use gender? Can we not use the names, right? So all these things, that kind of a responsibility falls on the AI engineer, the data scientist, right? Because it's also about you. Like every doctor takes this oath, right? I think sometimes I feel as data scientists, the kind of a data and the kind of power that we have, we need to also take an oath saying, hey, listen, ask questions. Is this right?
Yeah, I agree with Pavitra. When you say trusted AI, you have like two roles. You have the people that trusting and the technical part. So it's not all technical. It also has to do with the society. So it's part is a social problem, another one is a technical problem, and it's interaction, and it depends on the domain. If we look, for example, I mean the transportation one, it's also maybe we can get inspired by something like healthcare, where you have like double blind experiments, like for the vaccine. You try on many people and you see if it works. This is not technical. It's just a way to prove to society that the vaccine can be safe and working. So you can do that maybe for the same in driving cars. You see that when you are using this particular AI, you have less accidents. So people say, okay, let's start using that. And then for individual cases, maybe we can take inspiration from transportation in airplanes. You have this, I mean, they've been improving a lot. You have now very few accidents when flying, and this is something, and each time maybe we can blame the company that's doing that, Boeing or something, or sometimes it could be like the pilots made a mistake, but then at each stage you try to make it better, and then that society started trusting. So pilot make an error, so now we're going to try to make it easier to understand the system, so we pilot in the future won't make errors. So this is a social feature that we have to invent on top of the technology to make it work. And but this is not going to be one recipe for everything. You were mentioned the resume, so maybe this one we will need some kind of control there that is not the same, that is for transportation or healthcare. So every field will need a social feature around it. The challenge is that the technology is going very fast. I mean, we can spit out a new system just there in a few years, and then it's overwhelming the society. But the social features take a long time. You have like maybe the senators meeting and having another. I mean, this is something that takes a long time to design new laws, to design new social institutions. So in the meanwhile, there will be like this imbalance and the trust. And the meanwhile maybe it's going to last forever, because I mean, I don't think AI is going to stop progressing now. So you will be progress, and then you will have to adapt society to that to make it a trustable system that you want to have within the society. I mean, so there is this challenge. It's never going to be like we have now trusted AI. It will be like at each step of innovation, we'll have to adapt and find things, and the interaction, I mean, of society with AI systems. So this is a challenging topic, for sure.
Yes, sir, I agree with you, whatever all you said, and all of you mentioned very valuable and necessary points, especially right now in the field of healthcare and criminal analysis. This is very crucial to discuss and build trusted AI, and of course, in the future. And moving on to the next, Dr. Keller, my question to you is, you have started a company to do machine learning with quantum computers. When do you think quantum computers will become relevant for AI and machine learning?
Yeah. At the beginning, when I started doing machine learning with quantum computer, I was very excited. I say, let's do it. We can do something. So I finally find a way of running a very small problem that it was solved with classical AI, maybe in the 50s or in the 60s. That it was the IRIS dataset. And I say, wow, we are far from that. Maybe we need like 50 years for doing that. But actually not, because we have all the insights of all the machine learning there. A lot of time. From IonQ. I mean, they have as well. They have. I mean, not all have given a roadmap, but many have a roadmap, and they all agree on something like having a million noisy qubits at the beginning of next decade. This is not a lot, because with a million noisy qubit, you can have 1,000. Logic qubit, noise-free qubits, and this is not a lot. This is not a lot this might be enough for doing some kind of application, but for AI, this is not a lot. We can look, so because there is like so many data that you can fit in this this number of qubits. So I would say that it will take we'll need maybe 5 more years after this moment to get that. So I would say that in 15 years, quantum computers will start having like results. We have GPT-3 that is using now a super computer, and it's started doing something amazing. I mean, I think we will have this kind of thing. I mean, maybe in 15 years with quantum computers that will have like a GPT-1000 or something. I mean, running on a quantum computer, trained on a quantum computer, that will have like good results. But this is going to happen in a similar way that happened for AI. If you look at the machine learning, it was not like someone come with an algorithm and say, oh, I know how to do that, and then we waited to have the compute power to make it. It was a lot of experimentation, people doing things, and they say, oh, no, this is silly, but there is a good idea, or I have this result, but I need more compute power. So it was empirical research. You were doing things, and it happened there. And I experimented that myself doing this research. I had an intern, and I mean, if you know a bit about quantum computers, you have the number of shots, the number of times you run to make statistics on the output, because the quantum computer are stochastics. You need to do many runs. And I was saying to the student to try to use less shots to be, and the student didn't know much about quantum computer, so he tried an uncannily low number of shots, and he tried 10 shots. I say, I mean, how 10 shots? It seems like impossible to run something with 10 shots. Usually you need 1,000 shots. But actually it worked. So it was kind of really puzzling. What's happening there? But actually, because you have many data points, you have and in the total you have many shots. So you are going to average on many shots. And this was an innovation that happened. I mean, that's why our algorithm ran for this same reason. And this happened because of a student not knowing it was impossible, like the saying of Mark Twain saying they did it because they didn't know it was impossible. And so it was just like doing a kind of what the people in place, the professor would have said it's a mistake, but actually it was an innovation. And this only happens by experimenting, by doing things. So you start doing things, and then you do mistakes, and you invent penicillins, antibiotics, or things, many inventions become started like this, trying things. So what's going to happen, I think, for AI and quantum is that we know we will have the quantum computers only in 10 years or so. But meanwhile, a lot of people will do experiments and will come up with algorithms and the collaboration of all these people trying things. And this is how I think that we will have, quantum algorithms in 10 years. It's because of many people trying things with the prototypes a company like IBM put online, so they will try using that. So we'll have more hardware, more people trying things with this hardware, and we will have this progression coming. And we don't know exactly where we're going. Maybe we'll come up with something completely, like deep learning was kind of unexpected. So maybe this is going to happen, something like that. The future is amazing, and I think this is going to be the same here for quantum machine learning.
I agree with you, Dr. Keller. I was actually drawing a space that quantum creates with the quantum states, basically. So I just want to show something here that you can see. This is basically what RBF kernel, radial basis kernel. This is basically one of the kernels that's been invented 20-30 years ago, right? So this is what one of the best kernels that
Excuse me, ma'am. Can you move the book closer to the camera? We cannot see it properly. Oh, yes. Yes,
so, yeah, I'm actually seeing in my monitor and showing in my laptop. You can't see me, but no, this one. So I might not be able to show it correctly as well, but think about this bigger space, smaller space from machine learning, and the bigger space is being created where, here it is. Okay, the bigger space is being created by quantum states, basically. So this is a higher dimensional space. So where the data, you see the dots, and the dots here and the dots here are separable, and then the separation that you can see here, separation I have drawn here with a bigger line on a higher dimensional space. What you can see here is basically in a smaller dimension, smaller kernel, the data was not that separable. Now with a higher dimensional space, the data is separable. What the point I'm coming to come here is, we are actually doing proof of concepts. We are not trying to solve real world problem today, right today. I agree with what Dr. Keller mentioned. It takes about 10 to 20 years maybe to take all millions of rows of classical data to simulate with quantum computers. Of course, it's the truth and the true story. But if somebody has to do this and show these things, people have to do a lot of research. People have to do this on number of features. I'll give you one example. I moved to quantum computing 2.5 years ago. I was able to simulate only 3 features, just 3 features in quantum computers. The SVM algorithm, which is basically support vector machines, which is doing just the classification in classical machine learning, can take millions of columns and millions of rows today. At least 2 million, right? Millions, 2 million features it can take. But when it comes to quantum computers, not more than 3 features it was able to take. In India, I went to a marriage in the morning, and by the time I came back, it was about 8 hours. That's when the quantum computers have finished running its program. Just for 8 hours, it took 500 rows and just 3 features. Man, that takes just milliseconds in classical machine learning. This is 2.5 years ago what I'm speaking. So today, I'm able to simulate more than 20 features, more than 5,000 rows with the quantum machine learning. So where are we? 2 to 2.5 years, we are able to progress so much. And we are able to work with lots of hundred thousands of rows also with different kind of innovation. Basically, can we split the data and work, and then can we combine the results, right? So the data itself is a problem to find, like which data could be solved in quantum computers. So finding that right data is an important thing. Many of the times, at least in many of the research papers, what they have done is they have engineered the data such that quantum machine learning has benefits over classical machine learning. Means we are not able to find such a data today that has a lot of benefits in QML. right? So they're trying to engineer such data and then get it. When it comes to quantum and machine learning, right? Physics, we are playing with physics here. So when I mentioned about this space just didn't happen. This is basically the physics which actually creates superposition, and then with the superposition and inference, it's able to create more space. So basically, quantum computers still lie on the physics line there. So playing around with physics and high energy physics data would also help particle data, astronomy data, or radiation data. So many things, right? So a lot of machine learning applications that we see today or we've been used to is all about data related to companies like healthcare data, or the financial sector, or the communication sector, or vehicles traveling on the road. So these are the data that we are carrying. But there are many other data which still needs a lot of attention. And we can try to see whether quantum machine learning has advantage over it or not. Trying to add a couple points to Keller. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I would like to add something, because I mean, I was like seeing that things in quantum machine learning will only happen in 10 years. No, actually, I agree with Kavita that things can happen today. Let me explain. For example, when Shor's algorithm went live, I mean, in the 90s, it was invented by Dr. Shor. In that time, sure, we can still not run Shor's algorithm on today's computer, but this was immense. In that time, we had like one algorithm that was like exponentially faster than the best classical one. Maybe the algorithm has not great applications, but it was something incredible. I mean, a problem that you would need a million years to solve. I mean, you would need a billion years to break an RSA key. Then it would be possible in 10 seconds if we had the quantum computers. This spurred a wave of investment in quantum computers. So this work of this guy, of Peter Shor, in that time, this is why now we have all these quantum computers. Oh, this is not working? Yeah, so I mean, thanks to the work of Peter Shor, we have now all these quantum computers, because he showed that it was possible to do something meaningful with quantum computers. So now, if we have today, imagine that we will have like a quantum algorithm, some quantum algorithms showing exponential advantage. If we show that if someone today shows that a quantum algorithm for machine learning could outperform the best one in the future, this will spur a lot of investment in the field. So this is a result that will have an impact just right now on all the financing, even if we cannot run on meaningful data today. So this is not because this is in the future that we will be able to run the algorithm that the impact we cannot be just like now. I mean, if in 6 months we have someone coming up with an algorithm with an exponential advantage in machine learning, this will be so huge. I mean, this will change how we see AI.
Yes, sir. So can we consider quantum computers as a specialized tool or a big revolution to humanity?
Yeah, I think that this is a point of explaining what quantum computers are. I mean, there is sometimes this misconception that a quantum computer is a faster computer. This is not the case. I mean, a quantum computer is not a faster classical computer. It's a computer that does things differently. And sometimes we don't know which kind of problem, but for some kind of problem, it can be so much faster. So like we're saying, a problem that could take millions of years to be completely impossible because it will take so long, could be done with a quantum computer very quickly. We have this example of cryptography. There are also insights that we will be able to do that, for example, with chemistry, with quantum chemistry, or other quantum problems, that we will be able to run some kind of problems a lot more faster, I mean, exponentially faster. So something would be impossible with classical would be possible with a quantum computer. But a quantum computer are not faster classical computer. We need to come up with algorithm for these computers. It's maybe a little bit of misnomer to call that computers. I mean, they are kind of different kind of device that can compute different things. So I don't know if it's specialized, but for some kind of problems, only quantum computer will be able to solve them, and not the classical one.
Thank you for answering my question, sir. That was very insightful. My next question, Ms. Pavitra, my question to you is, how can we remove bias from AI models?
So this is not an easy question to answer, but the thing is that there are two kinds of biases. The bias that come through your data and the bias that your model learns, right? So sometimes what people will say is a model or algorithm, well, the data has the bias, and that's why a model shows it. That's an easy way of saying, you know what, I did what I could, right? But it's also about saying, you know, how are we going to mitigate the bias in the data itself? Right? It's also about saying, okay, can we, let's say, for example, I was talking about this gender bias, right? Such a model learns when, just like how Kavita was talking about, right? Like what you feel is what you get. So it's also about first things first is to even look at the bias in your data itself. Hang on, this is also very important when it comes to explainable AI. Right, as Dr. Sunil said, I think explainable AI is extremely important now because it's also about industrialization of AI. Right now, people are asking questions. Like, for example, let's say someone is denied a loan because of something else he or she has given, and then they say, no, you're denied a loan, and it's not a loan officer who's doing it, but there's an AI model sitting there doing it. They're asking questions why. Right, you need to actually tell that these are the features that actually resulted in it. And when it comes to that, what actually is now happening is that neural networks, though in computer vision and NLP, to some extent, we're able to do explainable AI. But when it comes to tabular data, basically data that is used in banks, etc., and financial institutions, it's a little difficult because you can't use neural networks there because explainable AI is a little difficult. TabNet is a new model that has come in. It's definitely something that's working pretty well, but it has to catch up and has to go on. So bias as well as explainable AI go hand in hand, right? So when you're looking at bias, it's also about questions that you need to ask about your user. It's not just training a model. So it's not about AI is not model.evaluate off, not model.train off. AI at the end of the day is about the consumer of AI, right? Just like any other engineering system. This is something my software engineering professor told me like 15 years back, and I still remember it. A software is a house that you build for someone to live, right? And you have to make it as comfortable for them. In the same way, AI is going to be something that's going to decide for someone. Let's say, for example, even in Swiggy, when we're working on it, let's say bias in systems can also come because we were working on a mask deduction system, and it happened so that we didn't have an Indian database. Right, most of the databases that were there available open source was a Southeast Asian data set, which means if you have a darker skin tone, it might, even if you have a mask on, it might say you don't have a mask on. Now, let's say, for example, I'm a supervisor who's going to take all these notes, like, or a process that says, okay, this delivery partner has not put on mask for 5 times, but the model has made those, wrong conclusions, then it's wrong. So bias exists both in data, model, as well as process. So you'll have to kind of filter it out. It has to be your first thing that comes in your mind, like asking why questions, uncovering it, and then going ahead with it. I'll say that, right? Like, for example, in NLP, it's there. Like, for example, a language, let's say, for example, there is a language in which it's a gender agnostic language. Let's say, for example, there is a sentence I have. He is a doctor. She is a doctor. The woman is a doctor. He is a nurse, right? Now what happens is, let's say, I think it's Turkish language, I'm not sure. They can translate into Turkish, wherein there is no gender, there's a he or she. There's a gender neutral language. And again, you translate it back to English. Guess what I get? I get he is a doctor and she is a nurse, because the bias steps in here. Because you know what, men are usually doctors, women are nurses. The bias steps in here. So those are the kind of things that also, there also needs to be research that happens saying, you know what, these are the things that's happening with the data sets that we already have, and how are we going to do that? So it's both going to be a top to bottom and a bottom to top approach. So you have to also look at your data and fix it for bias, and also at the same time look at the research that's happening and say, okay, these are the best practices that they're saying. Let's bring that in.
Yeah, those are good points, Pavitra. Just to add in the bigger perspective, right? So in my research, I found out in one of the paper, there are 170 different cognitive biases, right? So, and it will be long research activity to solve all those. So some of them are with the varied priorities, right? So, but as Pavitra mentioned, so we need to see at what level of data collection biases, attribute biases, okay, how we can handle both at the pre-processing, in-processing, or post-processing. So what is relevant for us, we can handle, because at the overall biasing, we will, okay, nobody can claim it's a bias-free kind of a system, because it's a much bigger in the cognitive biases, right? So, but the visible ones, or at least the more important ones for that particular context, we can aim and then at least we can go in step by step. And I'm sure the research is there for the future of AI to build the bias-free systems. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. That was very useful.
One more point to add. To eliminate bias, we need to have diversity. That's one of the point Pavitra was mentioning. But this word I wanted to emphasize. So diversity, bringing diversity annotation in your data, and then asking diverse question is really very important to actually, that's one of the major steps to reduce the bias in your ML models. Like keep asking questions like can only be men be doctors? So those questions, ask those questions to your whole data set of 2 million rows, and then you get to know that 80% of this data is yeah, doctors are men, that 20% are still women. So you need to normalize that model in such a way that it's 80-20 remains, you're taking it up, and those diverse questions are getting answered, and then the attributes of the whole data set, right, plays an important role, and scrutinizing each and every attribute actually helps to bring the bias down. Yeah, at least that's what has happened in my previous work.
Thank you, ma'am. That was very insightful. I would like to proceed by our next question. Would you like to share your AI projects you have been working or worked previously? Is my question clear, sir?
Yeah, we are just waiting, being the host, whom you want to point to someone. So I can
Anyone
start.
can start,
Yeah, not an issue. With the due respect to the IP of the organizations, right? We can't reveal too many, let's say, client details or the inner details of it. But at a when we are speaking in this kind of a public forum, so what we do at an abstract level. So what I usually say, there are 7 types of data, right? I played with multiple, maybe hundreds of use cases so far. And then when I say 7 types of data for the students or for the bigger audience, so it will be numerical, categorical, text, image, video, audio, and signals. So why I'm mentioning that is the use cases may tie up to those. So each of us may not be experts in all of them. Let's say computer vision, as Pavitra was mentioning. So somebody may one is understanding the bigger picture, and then going to the individual projects. I can pick 2-3 examples for each where I work on. For instance, image or video. I'll talk about interesting applications which people will fascinate about. Beyond that, say I worked in healthcare, I worked in telecom on those images. One is mostly use cases of, let's say, chest X-ray identification or brain segmentation. Those are the examples on healthcare. But more fascination are real-world examples which were not there a couple of years ago, or on using the drone images for the telecom towers for maintenance. right? So that's one of the applications which are not there previously, right? But if I talk about brain segmentation or maybe the object detection, they are there previously, but maybe instead of traditional machine learning or traditional image processing, we are using sophisticated deep learning models. We talked previously as well. But the new application is on the use the drone images of the towers. Take example of Hyderabad as a city. You may have 1 lakh towers or 100K towers, right, in the city by Jio or maybe Airtel or whoever is the customer it is. Then we want to see even the cable bending there, or even the too much of exposure of the nuts. It looks like very small things, but the signal to noise ratio will impact. And it will be impossible for someone as a technician to go there and you see the towers, how long they are and how much. It's not an efficient way to really use the human source, right? So usually what we do is, if there are so many complaints on a particular tower, then we'll allocate the person there. That's how the people maintain it, right? But to have the proactiveness, so we have a periodic thing which we can do for the drone capturing the videos, and then entire thing is automated, and we will see which are the problematic towers or cells, then the productive maintenance there. Maybe future of AI, right now we are not talking about some robo climbing and fixing it, but maybe future of AI, maybe if you interdisciplinary point of it, yes, instead of a human climbing it, maybe the robo can climb and then fix it and then get the acknowledgement then and there with the AI thing as well, right? So that may be complete solution in future. So other example, if I take from text, right? So the text examples are chatbots. So we have talked about the chatbots. Usually, students or other people think it's just only a text-based chatbot. We even 3 years ago we have a production support kind of thing. It's like a product support, right? We have a lot of manuals and all that, but still, if someone that example I can give because that is there in the public domain. So it's more like a when I'm working with Philips, it has a lot of product on the toothbrush, and then maybe on the not the regular one, right? It's more like how you really doing that brushing and all that. So there are a lot of sensors which can sense and all that. So that product information, when someone has a really the questions on those, it doesn't really require to call up someone. So it can be a chat window kind of a thing, and then that window can provide you in your own language the support in terms of be it in images or videos kind of a thing, right? We talked about even integrating with the Alexa kind of a thing. So those are examples. And if you talk about the numerical and categorical kind of examples, so there are a lot of things on the prediction thing. Now I think we the panelists already talked about because of the COVID, a lot of business got impacted. So can we predict with the maybe exact replica of the past data may not be there for the future, right? That's where all these techniques which we talked about on the biases or maybe on the synthetic data, all those coming into picture. But there are interesting use cases we had in terms of predicting that particular parameter, so that the right set of operational activities we can take it. So I tried to cover not at a vertical level because this may be the easiest way to think of, and then see where your core strengths are coming up, right? For the students or other people. So whichever is fascinating for them, if they want to specialize in NLP or in the computer vision or general machine learning. So these are the points which I want to mention. Go ahead.
I think Dr. Sunil covered a lot of points. So, few things in computer vision that are pretty interesting now, other than just object detection, is novel view synthesis. So, one is if you have a 2D image, how can you create a 3D or a 2.5D kind of a video out of it? That is, let's say this is something that we were looking at Swiggy. Like, how can we entice you to eat that biryani, right? How can we make that biryani even more enticable? Such that wow, looks interesting, right? Like, is this like you're zooming in and then there is a biryani, right? I'm sorry, I know it's already 12:30, people are getting hungry, but anyhow, that's something that we were looking at. It was a very interesting thing because computer vision has come to a point wherein the kind of research that we have is far more mature, and these kind of things are possible. The second thing is graphs, right? I think graph machine learning is ripe to be used. We use graph convolutional networks. Very interesting. One thing about graph is this: it's not just AI; it's also engineering, right? So it's graph can take in billions of data records and at the same time create patterns, right? Like even for example, I think if you're reading Google DeepMind and AlphaFold and all those things, right, wherein they're trying to figure out different protein structures, they're trying to figure out different kind of medicine structures, basically figuring out pharmaceutical kind of applications in graph or networks. I think it's something that is going to blow up in the next 5 to 10 years. It's something that you guys have to learn. It's a lovely, interesting topic, and it's both engineering plus AI.
Hey, to talk about what I am working on is going to be a bit complicated because of the IP stuff, definitely. Most of my work on ML before coming to QML or quantum was on numerical and categorical data. And here in QML and quantum, I work on numerical and categorical as well as on graph data. So this is the and then when I was in masters doing a research assistant job, the job was also based on graph. Basically, it's like how the social network analysis happens. For example, Facebook was then getting started in. I mean, it was started, but that is when a lot of friends to friends connections were there. Like friends to friends connections are basically me. I am a node, and then another friend is a node, and a friend's friend is a node. So basically, when I was in masters, this is what I'm trying to tell as a student. Basically, what I did was I started building random graph models, like what is Erdo's random graph model look like. So I read a theory and then go implement it. So that is how I secured my first job as well. As a, it was in 2012, 2013. I just had a baby. Baby was 3-4 months old, and I was a research assistant since I was pregnant. And then I was actually working as a research assistant on all this graph theory, and it was fascinating basically to sit at home and while the kid is sleeping, go get implementation done. So it was really fascinating to get that 2 hours really, because it's just 2 hours that I have, and then I need to actually implement this model. And then while I'm sleeping or while I'm waking up, thinking about those models itself basically. So where I'm coming to a point is, as a student, I started working on a lot of social network data. It's easily available. And then 2012, I'm talking, the data was not that greatly available. US.gov or Kaggle today is really very good. The data is really available right there. Like you guys can go ahead and start implementing. So in one of the presentations, in one of the conferences, people have compilation right? So people are taking this data. I'm hearing my echo.
Sorry, ma'am, that was a disturbance from our side. Please continue.
Okay, so people, this is again social network analysis data also comes into numerical and categorical basically. So we do lots of different kinds of encoding there and then work with them, right? So now come to the quantum area. Same numerical and categorical data we can keep working with, but the data size set is not that huge, but it is smaller now. With this smaller set of data, now we are able to do the same thing. So try to do social network analysis with this. So one of the project as a student I worked on was, I also let it has a PHP program, and behind that there was my model, which was calling the APIs. So I had this model on my Facebook. Basically, people were using my Facebook model, which is basically guess your next best friend in your social network, depending on how many comments and how many likes you have. And my first job is actually to do data crawling, because I did a lot of work on comments and likes and then recommendation systems. So while working on a data crawling job, I was also building expertise on working with data science classification work. Data classification work there was basically news-based news classification or reviews classification, sentiment analysis. So this is text data again. So I don't want to name the client's name because that's again IP. But the point I'm trying to say is, what you build on as a student will take you to your first jobs, and then what you build on your first jobs will take you to your second jobs. So you now the data is available in your hands, everybody, right? Even with our mobile, probably you can run programs, right? So try to use the computing power that you have in your hand and the data that's freely available. A lot of Kaggle programs are available to everyone. You can simply download them and run them and then start reading it. So these are the data that I have worked on. And even in quantum, lots of classification work, regression work, and also on vehicle routing problems to solve, which is again graph theory. So these are the types of problems I work on day in, day out.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
I would like to just tell a short story about how we design a quantum algorithm for running on an IBM Q. So and we will show how the interplay with the hardware builder, building more powerful computers, plays with the research in quantum machine learning. So at the beginning, we were trying to design a new quantum algorithm for machine learning. And so we had an idea, we had this idea, say, okay, we need to be able to run this algorithm for at least the smallest problem. I mean, if you have a classical machine learning algorithm, you want to try to run it on something very simple, yet I mean, complex. I mean, for the classical test set is the iris flower data set for classification. So we just say, let's try to run the iris flower data set full, I mean, the training part and the test part on a quantum computer. It seems doable because the data set only have 4 features, but still 3 classes. And so we surveyed the bibliography, and we didn't find anyone who would have yet arrived to that, to just do the iris flower data set on actual hardware. There were things on simulation, but not on actual hardware, the full data set. So we decided to try to do it nonetheless. So at first we just we had a first version of the training, and so we had the trained model. After training was running on this was okay. We could be able to run on the IBM machine, but it was not possible to train it. We had like we made an estimate, and we need like maybe 1 month of compute power on the quantum computer to do the training. It was not doable. So we just like trying to make it I mean, working on simulations. We were just like put that down, and at some point we managed to just go down to 3 hours. And so at that time we just asked IBM to I mean, give us the time, I mean, these 3 hours to make the training, which they did, and we just got the result as expected, and we get a paper. But actually, this having like this challenge of running on actual hardware, we had to come up with a lot of innovation that if we were just doing it theoretically, we wouldn't have found the algorithm. It was just like trying hard because we were just willing to do it. They say, if we have that, we have a paper, we have some good results to show. So we just like push that the most we can. And this is something that everyone can do because we have the data, very simple iris data set, had the hardware available, we can run the simulation on a laptop or on so this is something that anyone can do. I mean, this is something that I expect maybe the next big jump would be some student of some place, I mean, that people are not aware, not MIT, but maybe a university in India that we come up with very good results, because this only needs imagination.
Thank you, sir. And also we are very thankful to Kavita ma'am. She has shared some links which are very useful for our students. And as we are running out of time, I think we shall end this session with the closing remarks. Sir, could you, Sunil, sir, would you like to add your closing remarks?
Great. I just want to we talked about a lot of things. Some of them are maybe jargons for the students at the start with, or even whatever excited for you, you can start Googling and see where your path takes you in that future of AI. But I want to give you one more piece of advice. So as a student, you may be fascinated about all this machine learning, deep learning and all, but the having fundamentals is the right time for you, right? Because I know when we are teaching on a weekend to the people, there are people with 20 years experience, 25 years of experience, still talking about statistics, probability and all. It's much more difficult for them to digest, but still as a student, don't ignore those fundamentals, right? Whatever is the fundamentals, this is the right time for you. And if you have strong foundations, it is easy for you to build up, because whatever you are learning deep learning, maybe you need to again learn the new things 2 years down the line, but the fundamentals will not change, right? Be it quantum, be it the physics kind of a thing, or maybe statistics, linear algebra, matrices. So all this, what is the being an engineer, you will be equipped with that. So don't ignore that, is my first piece of advice. And then it will be easy for you to build on top of it. Then second thing, a lot of data is available, as Kavita was mentioning, or other panelists also mentioning, right? So one is practicing this, and then one is on learning the new concepts, or maybe your own lab exercises, and practicing it as well. So both should go hand in. It's not like only reading the paper and all that. So that's where the innovation thing. And the third point, you keep publishing, or maybe the patenting, or do to the open source. Don't keep it to yourselves. You do something, be it in GitHub or be it in whatever the platform you choose to do it, right? So you excite other people as well. That's where we can build. The Pavitra is saying about what is that, AI India powerhouse. We have a lot of potential, right? So keep that culture, and then be strong on your fundamentals, and encourage others, and all collectively can solve interesting problems. And future of AI is very exciting. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable words. Dr. Keller, please, would you give your closing remarks? Sir?
Okay. Yeah. So I totally agree with Dr. Sunil Kumar. I mean, in machine learning, all the progress has been done by people trying things. And so don't be shy to just try things. Some might look minor, but actually you can make breakthrough because you don't know. But in the end, it's going to be collaborative work. One adding like a small library for doing that, the other one using the library, one having an idea and putting it online, another one expanding the idea on something more. And all this collaborative work will make the progress. It's not individual people working alone. And this is an advantage, when you are a beginner as well, is that when you do some work, you put it online. This is helping everyone, but it also makes you known. And then so you can land a job there, or maybe you can make a friend or a collaboration, and this will land you a job. So, so you have it, sometimes you just go and help the progress of the whole field, but at the same time it socializes you in there to find a job. So this is I will say you to follow the advice of Dr. Sunil Kumar. Just do things and put them online. This is like the best thing you can do for you to learn and for you to make you know and to help the progress of AI.
Thank you, sir. Your valuable words are always noted. And Ms. Kavita Yogaraj, would you also please give your closing remarks?
Yeah. So I'm a student turned into this one, right? I don't have a lot of experience. This is my 10th year in the industry. So for me, it's always playing with the open source. It's like get your hands dirty. That is what I have been doing basically. It's like I gave one example. I would put my kid to sleep and I would come to my laptop to actually run the codes to write those basically. So get your hands dirty, play with the data, and then do a lot of open source contributions. Open source is one keyword that I forgot to mention that Dr. Sunil mentioned. So I pointed out a couple of things here. So there's a lot of open source contribution you can do, whether it is Python or in Java or Go language or C language, whatever it is, pick a programming language and try to understand bits and pieces of how it is working. Be good in one thing, don't try to be jack of everything, and then when you go to an interview or when you try to play with anything, you are actually mumbling there. What happens is when you try to do many things and not good at one thing, you might not be able to progress in one area, and then the blockage happens in mind saying that, hey, I'm not good, hey, I'm not good. So don't get that blocks in your mind. So don't try to be jack of everything. It's not possible. It's impossible probably to say to be good in everything. There are some people who are really good in everything, but they are at one point they're good in one thing. Then they picked on the second area. Then they picked on the third area maybe. So at the same time, maybe only quantums can do in superposition, right, Keller? They are in superposition state and they're still active in all superposition state, but we are still classically either we can be 0 or 1. So basically try to feed one thing in your mind and try to get that, be good at that, and open source contributions and trying to get your hands dirty, and then yeah, I think these are the skills will help. As a point of advice I would try to give. And any area that you pick, right, read the textbooks basically. So just don't read the blogs, because blogs are perspectives. Even the textbooks are perspective of a person basically, but still it's a huge content there. So just don't get biased by reading one blog and then try to just stop there. So go read a lot of research papers and try to understand what this research paper, why this research paper is different from another one. One example I'll give you. I was reading a research paper on it was a research paper on variational quantum classifier. Variational quantum classifier with one type of encoding versus another type of encoding, basically. This paper talked about one type of encoding doing so good, but they used only 2 qubits, right? And there was another paper which also did variational quantum classifier, but for a neural network application, basically. So using the same algorithm, different kind of research is been happening. So when you pick an algorithm, try to get the breadth of the whole algorithm. So you understand where all you can apply this algorithm, and then reading a lot, getting the fundamentals right will definitely help in shaping your career.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for advices to our students. Ms. Pavitra, please share your closing remarks.
I'm going to build on all the points that has been said, right? Get your concepts right. But at the same time, I would say that, don't give up, because for me, when I was learning Andrew NG, it took me at least 3 or 4 times to get back propagation correctly, but you just have to be at it, all right? Just another thing is this, learn in groups, because one thing I have figured out is that, just as a single person, you're not going to figure out everything. One thing that I really liked about is there's this channel called as 3 Blue, 1 Brown, and Khan Academy. I can't thank both of these guys enough, because I think they have intuitively explained math in a way that you can understand, right? But at the same time, I also say this, when you're going to learn to drive a car, you don't have to learn what a carburetor is, right? You have to learn what accelerator, brake, and clutch is, right? So first things first, get acquainted with it, but you can only go so far with whatever you have learned, just like, using like a black box. The next thing that you have to do is to learn the concepts. And the second thing I want to say is about, being an entrepreneur, right? Being an entrepreneur, being an AI entrepreneur is not just about AI. It's about looking around, being curious, being foolish. Because only when you're foolish, you're going to ask questions. And these are the words I want to end with Steve Jobs' words. Be curious, be foolish, be hungry, right? And it's more about what you're going to observe and what you're going to learn.
I totally agree with you, ma'am. Thank you. And time has flown very fast moderating this amazing panel. I once again thank you, all of you, for being available today, for making your time and adding your valuable insights to the discussion. Highly appreciated. This has been a very fruitful session. Personally, as a student, I have learned many things and got exposed to different areas of AI. And I've left out with many questions which I wanted to place to you, but as we are running out of time, I couldn't ask. But yes, we are looking forward for our future collaboration. And thank you, ma'am. And A hearty thank you to my fellow teammates of ATBD. It has always been so much fun and a great experience of learning together throughout the entire process. And a small request from my side, we are going to end this two-day event with a valedictory session. Could you please be available for that if it is possible for you?
Sure. In the same link or?
Yes, sir, it is here.
Okay.
Yeah. I now request my fellow teammate, Ms. Ritika, to end this two-day event with a valedictory session.
Thank you, Savati. You're amazing. Am I audible?
Yes, Ritika, hello.
Greetings, everyone. I, Ritika Wala, a CSE student.
Could you please set your mic, Ritika?
Is that audible now?
No, your voice is very low.
Is it fine now? Just a second. Greetings, everyone. Is it audible now?
Sorry, Ritika, there is a disturbance from your side.
Just give me a second. Please tell me if it's audible now. Sahiti, is it audible now?
Yes, please talk loudly.
Yeah, greetings, everyone. I'm really sorry for the inconvenience. I, Ritika Wala, a CSE student this time, deem it a great honor to propose a vote of thanks on behalf of the institution. I take this opportunity to cordially offer my sincere appreciation to all the panelists and the audience from around the globe for their cooperation in the course of the session. This event would not have been successful without your perpetual endorsement. We express our profound gratitude to the constantly supportive and passionate management standing, our Chief Secretary Shri Kodali Krishna Rao Sir, Secretary and Correspondent Shri T. Rakesh Reddy, Managing Member, and our patrons Dr. Vinay Babu Sir, Dean Academics, Dr. Satyaprasad Lanka, Principal. I would now like to request our Principal Sir to address your audience. Sir, could you please speak up?
You are now unmuted.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon to all of you, to the eminent panelists who have conducted a good discussion just now. This event for panels has been very rewarding. Last night I was going through the discussion deliberations which were yesterday. Found them very contempt and they found that this is something which our students can really take away from this intelligent forum. All the more, I am very proud of the way our young moderators have conducted themselves in a serious discussion with very eminent and experienced people around them, posing the questions and showing a maturity and understanding. I understand that to do that, they must have done a lot of research work before they started this panels and conducted themselves. Hats off. It has always been a dream institution of the students, by the students, for the students. It looks like young panels have shown the seed lay beautiful going to happen in the future. India being a young, we invest a lot in. Okay, we are seeing that yes, are worth our and investment. I am very to the team conducting the program. I wish all the recordings that we made available to a wider okay through our web some forum like that through the TBD on YouTube or Twitter. Make this available for the larger benefit of the student community. This is a very good initiative. Keep going. This is the 5th big event you all have for the student community globally. So keep the Stanley flag flying. Thanks for doing a wonderful job. Once again, I thank the panelists for their wonderful insights, and particularly I saw there is a diverse information going to students, not only the technical information, but also corporates work. When Dr. Sunil was mentioning the IPR limitations, which allow or disallow of information on a public forum. Okay, is also in a very good information to the students. Okay, about how to their and also what is their ideas, how to evaluate their idea future. Okay, such set learning and unsaid learning also is happening on such forums. Very good activity which is going on. I thank the panelists for their contributions. Again, all the panels have been excellent. Okay, been thought-provoking discussions going on. The diversity of which have been defined process is going to nurture research at Stanley and among the student community in a wide. Thank you all very much. Thank you all. Keep safe. Keep positive in attitude, not in corona. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your intervention. I would also now like to convey our special thanks to our generators, Dr. B.V. Ramanamurthy, sir, Vice Principal, and Dr. V. Anuradha ma'am, our advisors, Dr. P.R. Amisha ma'am, and Dr. C. Kishore Kumar Reddy, sir, and our program chairs, Ms. Vidyarani ma'am and Ms. Soumya ma'am, conveners, Ms. T. Nagalakshmi ma'am and Ms. Hina Parveen ma'am, co-conveners, Ms. Nikki Srilata ma'am and Ms. Amala Kumari, and coordinators, Ms. Nadia Anjum ma'am and Ms. BSNM Chandrika ma'am, for their consistent efforts and dedication towards this event. Last but not the least, we are grateful to the Industry Institution Interaction Cell, in short IIC, and in collaboration with our team ATBD, for their relentless efforts in making this event a resounding success. Our team members, Aisha Khalil, K. Apurva, Rida Ashar, Purvi Reddy, Solangi Sirisha, Duha Kari Mansari, Tasneem, Basava Lavanya, Nitya Reddy, Raksha Mehra, Saniti Reddy, Amrita Parmatkar, Kriti, Prerna Reddy, Kritika, Sundari Kaza, and Shri Kameshwari. A hearty thanks to the social media team for supporting our event. Stanley looks forward to a scope to translate vision into reality, and all the mentors have never lost the bearings to keep us influenced and firm throughout. I would now like to end the session with a heartfelt regard to all the panelists for being considerate and inspiring young aspirants to acknowledge the technical world, and all the participants for their active and enthusiastic involvement all over. ATBD desires to bring in many more such events in the coming years. Thank you. It was great having you all here, sir and ma'am.
Thank you. It's our pleasure
Thank
to
you,
be part of
Kriti.
it.
I once again thank you all for being
Thank
among us.
Pavitra and Pavitra, thank you very much. You have presented yourselves as good role models to our young ladies at Stanley. We are a women's institution. We are very proud of women achievers. Thank you for being here and being role models to our students.
Thank you, sir. Thanks everyone, and thanks for this opportunity also. And definitely women are needed in this career. Women in computer science is something a near and dear subject for me for many years now. There is a India Week on Quantum Computing, a series going to start probably by mid or end of August from IBM itself. So especially women try to contribute through QSCAT and try to be involved with QC. You can be one of those women in India Quantum Weeks in future also. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for
ma'am.
being a
Thanks
great
a lot
host.
for the
Thank
opportunity,
you.
Stanley College, and talking about women in tech. I think there are biases. There are going to be challenges for you, especially when you are more than 25, right? Like Indian society is still ways to change, but I think it's also about you stepping up and saying that, you know what, I want to do this, right? And there is a lot of support available, people. You guys have to reach out and talk to us. And the only job that Kavita and I have is this: it's to pave a way for you guys, because that's how we survived and how we thrived, because there were women before us, men before us who have helped us. So I think it's an amazing time for you guys all. Just don't be afraid, reach out, right? And talk about it. And I think it's an amazing opportunity for everyone here.
One closing note I want to add is I was sitting in a second bench of one of this conference at IBM. And I asked, we were free to ask questions because it was last 30 minutes Q&A sessions with all partners at IBM. It's like partners at IBM and directors at IBM at Sunil's level, right? Dr. Sunil's level here. So I asked them, like, all of them are architects whom I work with, and there are no women architects. Most of them are managers. Why? And I'm on a technical role, and I want to be on a technical role. That is something I'm really very sure about. So he asked, why are you sitting in a second bench? It's you who have to push yourself to the first bench. It's not somebody else. That is really striking me every now and then. There was a patent application or a research paper we were writing, actually, and I didn't want to be on the second line, really. So there was second line, or all the, I mean, I'm actually doing the core work. Why I'm not in the first line? So if you are doing that work, you will definitely be in that first line, and you have to push yourself to that first line. It's something that I have learned through my so at work, men and women, both of them support for us. It's not that there is bias. Definitely, it is challenging to come up from senior role to more senior roles. It's even more challenging for women to come up. And if I have to show my video down here, my kid is drowning around me. And even then, we have to focus on this job, whether it is office job or whether it is a session that we are giving. So it's not the same thing with my husband and kid, right? So women is definitely challenging for us, but you have to push it yourself. That's it.
Yeah. I want to make a closing remark in the same line as Kavita. First, on passion, you have to be passionate about what you do. And I remember I started with quantum computing this way. I mean, I've been working like for decades in classical computing, and then I heard about quantum computing, and I say, wow, if I was young today, I will start a career in quantum computing. And actually, I say, why don't start a career in quantum computing? It doesn't matter. I mean, I'm passionate about that. So I started like late. I mean, I'm already a recognized researcher and started doing that. And so the passion to be, imagine that, I mean, the field is just unfolding now. I mean, it's starting now. So you can be a pioneer in that field. So this was driving my passion. And then I just remember something, the very beginning of quantum computing, were about there were women doing that. I mean, the first programmer on history is Ada Lovelace. He did all these first programs inside, talking even about artificial intelligence. I mean, in the 19th century, the woman with kids working in that society, Victorian society, was not keen for women. But out of passion, she just managed to be the first programmer in history forever. So this is something that everyone can do. It's just put your passion there and go on. For example, quantum computing but other fields are the same. You can start doing here and make something relevant for history. I mean, of science. This is something that, for me, it's a passion. It's important, and so thanks for inviting me here, and I'm glad if I help people here define their career.
Thank you, sir. I once again thank you all for being very proactive and delivering an amazing panel today. And this has been Intelligent Systems, Future of AI.
Thank you.
Thank you, Saiti.
Happy
Thank you,
learning.
ma'am.
Bye.
Bye, sir. Bye, sir.